2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
You know, Marty Herney is one of the best.
All right, everybody, without further ado, Mac and T-Bone from WFNZ here to introduce our boy, man, the official rapper of our show.
Cuddy Cutright Panther anthem, Keep Pounding Forever.
Yeah, okay, y'all ready? Let's go. Carolina Panthers, get on your feet, make some noise. It's our time. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. We shake the ground when we coming. Let's go. Leave butterflies in your stomach. The way McCaffrey running in the offense balling, yeah, we on to something. Wide receivers, yeah, they making plays. Defense getting the takeaways. Kyle Allen playing lights out, and they worry about what the hate say. Greg Olsen never lost a step. That's Mr. Reliable, show respect. It's not easy against Keekly, and that front line, and that's ED. Cam Newton got to rest up. Ain't no INT, but when it's showtime, better be ready and dressed up. It's your moment and you cannot mess up. The motto we know is next man up. Every Panther fan, please stand up. If you believe, put your hands up. Before every game, play this anthem. Started off 0-2. Now we getting better. You see it? Shout out to Rivera Era, Coach Rivera. And how you doing, David Tepper? Let's go. We gon' keep pounding forever. 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 Let's go. Never stop. Never quit. Never stop. Never quit. Let's never stop. Never quit. We gon' keep pounding forever. Yeah. Let's go. And we gon' keep pounding. Forever. Let's go. Let's go. What up, man? What up, T-Bone? Keep pounding.
All right, everybody, without further ado, Mac and T-Bone from WFNZ here to introduce our boy, man, the official rapper of our show.
Cuddy Cutright Panther anthem, Keep Pounding Forever.
Yeah, okay, y'all ready? Let's go. Carolina Panthers, get on your feet, make some noise. It's our time. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. We shake the ground when we coming. Let's go. Leave butterflies in your stomach. The way McCaffrey running in the offense balling, yeah, we on to something. Wide receivers, yeah, they making plays. Defense getting the takeaways. Kyle Allen playing lights out, and they worry about what the hate say. Greg Olsen never lost a step. That's Mr. Reliable, show respect. It's not easy against Keekly, and that front line, and that's ED. Cam Newton got to rest up. Ain't no INT, but when it's showtime, better be ready and dressed up. It's your moment and you cannot mess up. The motto we know is next man up. Every Panther fan, please stand up. If you believe, put your hands up. Before every game, play this anthem. Started off 0-2. Now we getting better. You see it? Shout out to Rivera Era, Coach Rivera. And how you doing, David Tepper? Let's go. We gon' keep pounding forever. 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 Let's go. Never stop. Never quit. Never stop. Never quit. Let's never stop. Never quit. We gon' keep pounding forever. Yeah. Let's go. And we gon' keep pounding. Yeah. And we gon' keep pounding.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, live to you Tuesday night, and it's an important night when it comes to the Carolina Panthers. News broke today that Ron Rivera has been fired by David Tepper. It's David Tepper climbed Hamburger Hill to join Cody Lashney, and it's time for a new direction. Cody, how you doing tonight, my friend?
Trail 1, Moneybags Lawson, Underground West, Chef Jeff Hodge, Josh from Mass, Tony Dunn, my brother. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, bro. Let's roll.
I hate to steal your thunder, but I recorded you saying all that, but the people in YouTube could not hear you because I forgot to unmute you.
You missed an opportunity, Tony Dunn. What the hell, man?
I missed an opportunity.
But you know who didn't miss an opportunity? David Tepper to get ahead of the competition, finding the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers. There's so much to talk about. The chat room is lit. Brad Dugan, Jeff Hodge, Nick Montedero, Underground West, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll for the second time in a row.
Tonight's show is the end of the Rivera Era. I think this is episode 48 on the season, and today marks a big change for the organization. Over the last 9 years has been under the leadership of Ron Rivera. We'll be talking about that ad nauseum tonight. Lots of things to discuss, from not only the decision to fire Ron Rivera, the timing, also news surrounding potential what's going to happen at the GM spot. Right, there's a lot of it's a lot of facets to that story as well. And don't forget, we've got some of the most rowdy Panther fans on the interwebs, not only in the chat room, but cats calling into the cat call line. The number's 252-228-5098. We're going to be plowing through a ton of calls tonight. We might not respond to every call. We will play them all, though, as we go, and we will pick our spots. There's tons to talk about it. And we also got the Bat Daddy in the house, Greg, to hang out and talk with us. How you doing, Greg? Boy, a calamity of errors tonight.
Yeah, no, I don't hear Greg.
I can't hear him at all. So that's
come back in.
All right, let's go ahead. And it looks like CK is walking to his car, or he's in his house. I don't know. We'll let him get.
I'm in my car.
You're in your car.
Yes,
I know.
sir.
Are you about to jump for joy? Are you going to hit your head on the roof?
Whew, I'm ecstatic, but also, as with all things that are unknown, there's the fear of what the future holds. As much as I wanted Ron Rivera gone, I had a pit in my stomach the moment I found out, though, which is odd.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we do hear you now.
All right. So, okay. Well, it is a loss. There's a certain loss and there's a certain fear. So hopefully we can rebound ourselves after this stumbling. I have that same feeling in the pit of my stomach as the beginning of the show happens. Let's make sure that everybody give us a thumbs up. Cody, give me a sound check. Say, Cody, are you happy that this happened today?
I am ecstatic. I am so happy that this happened today. I didn't think it would, but it definitely did. It is real.
Okay, so that was my sound check to you guys. Now let's go ahead and turn. Don't forget, subscribe to the show, smash the thumbs up button, call into the cat calls line, whatever. There's too much to talk about to ask you guys. Ask you guys that now, or whatever. You know what we need. Let's go here. This is what happened today. This is David Tepper announcing that why he's going to be moving on from Ron Rivera. I think.
To put my stamp on this organization. I just thought it was time given the way things have gone the last 2 seasons, to put my stamp on this organization on the football side, as we've done on the business side of the organization. And, I think, as much respect as I have for Ron, I think a change was appropriate to build things the way I want things to be built.
What'd you hear there, Cody?
I mean, pretty much it's self-explanatory. This is a man that, I said this last Sunday. The man thought he was buying a Super Bowl contending football team. And credit to the man. He could have done this sooner. He could have fired Ron Rivera as soon as he bought the football team. But he felt like there was reason to have faith in Ron Rivera, and that just didn't turn out. And I think out of anything, this is a message to the fans about what he said earlier being true. He is not going to accept mediocrity on this football team. In fact, they even put up a stand where there is an empty shelf for the Super Bowl trophy that the Panthers do not have. So it will serve to a reminder of every coach and player that goes in there and sees that there is a Lombardi trophy missing from that shelf. It's a reminder that if you're a Carolina Panther, we're fighting for greatness. And this is an opportunity for David Tepper to show that Ron Rivera had his time, but losing to Washington after losing to Atlanta, it's not acceptable.
Brad Dugan says Tepper has a plan in place, and Underground West says Tepper about that action, right? So, look, what I heard was the word, I heard Tepper say multiple times that he likes, he respects Ron Rivera as the man, and that he's one of the most honorable kind of people that he's ever known. So he thinks of, what I think is important to remember here is that we're emotionally tied because these are real people. But he used another word, appropriate. And I think that what we can distinguish is sometimes being just because you've chosen to go a different direction is not a referendum on a person. Right? And we have to say that out loud, it seems like. But at the thing, this is appropriate. And to be honest, Ron Rivera survived longer than he should have, to be honest. Is that multiple times, 2012, 2014, people calling for him again, 2017, 2018, 2019. So Ron Rivera, God bless him, and kudos to him for keeping the position as long as he was. He was able to find some success now. But appropriate, the Bat Daddy, do you think that this move was appropriate today?
It was unexpected for me, but yeah, I do think it was appropriate. I think we were all kind of on the train or the boat of we needed to get new coaching, and Ron Rivera was the way to go, especially if you were going to do one or the other. I'd much rather have Ron Rivera gone. But I kind of look at it as David Tepper is coming in, and it's not necessarily a rebuild he's doing, but look at it more like an upgrade on a phone. Like we had an old smash mouth style, offense. We had a defense once first type mentality, and our head coaching staff and everybody else, and the game is changing, and you've got to keep up. So he's kind of like upgrading it, going from an S9 to an S10 is what he's kind of trying to do.
Speaking of what he's trying to upgrade to, here is Tepper on the type of coach he wants.
What I want, and just for the organization in general, is a mesh of old and new. Old football discipline, modern processes, modern analytics, statistics, and the rest of that. But I respect old school discipline too. I mean, listen, I was with a team that was the epitome of, in Pittsburgh, with the epitome of old school discipline. So I want to see that brought in. I want to see that mesh. And what I want to have more than anything, and you can appreciate this because you've seen it on the business side, I want to put the best people in the best positions to be successful.
So what he wants is I think this is just what you should say, is that obviously just because you want to keep up with the times, like the Bat Daddy is saying, and that you want to move forward, does not mean that you don't respect the tradition that has been, that all of this present and future is built upon, right? And that is these old football. You don't want to come in here and forget the old football guys that do still know something. But I think all I'm hearing right now, what I heard there is it's time for some energy when it comes to this coaching staff. And not that Ron, and look, stoic Ron, I know it's tired on people. What I mean, too, is by a fresh energy of someone who is on the uptick of their career, not trying to maintain a certain plateau at this point. And you bring in some excitement and potentially some youth and some vision there. Cody, what did you hear about the type of coach that David Tepper wants to bring in the future? And then is anybody on your mind? Holy cow, Nick Montero.
Yeah, first thing first. Nick Montero with a $50 donation, a love bomb in the chat. Thank you so much.
Holy cow. Thank you, Nick.
Also, thank you to Susan Deans, who donated her $15, and Moneybag Lawson's with the $2, saying Kyle Allen equals Terry Conklin, a.k.a. the Great White Hype. But, yeah, thanks you so much, Nick. And as far as what kind of coach, I mean, let's be honest. David Tepper said a whole lot of nothing right there. He basically said, I want the best of both worlds. I want the analytical, new school, modern head coach that at the same time has the old school, rough, tough, we're going to hit you in the mouth type of mindset. And, I mean, that doesn't say anything, I mean, it really just says that we're in the market for a brand new head coach, and we don't yet know who that is, but we decided to do this now because Dallas is probably going to have a head coaching vacancy at the end of the year. So is maybe the Browns. I mean, who knows? Other teams are going to have hirings, and you want to be out there ahead of the curve recruiting whoever the next head coach for the Carolina Panthers is going to be. I know I have my list of favorites. I'm pretty sure everyone and their mother has their list of favorites. But, yeah, as to what kind of coach David Tepper is pushing for, man, it's hard to say right now.
I do think what it does tell us is that, but when by him tempering the comment by talking about the kind of rough and tough old school football discipline, I do think it shows that he's wise enough to know that the solution is like there isn't this mythical unicorn out there that we don't have that's out there, but it's like, hey, it's about moving forward aggressively, but not also knowing that there isn't going to be some young 25-year-old kid that's going to come in here and all of a sudden change the way football is played entirely.
Yeah. Maybe Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the LSU Tigers, who's my age and comes from the Saints. But I don't know, man. I mean, I'm interested to hear all of you guys who your bet is on being the next head coach and who some of the favorites are. I mean, I know I personally have my list of favorites. I'm not shy about saying I've been on the Lincoln Riley train for a long time. I think that he could do wonders with Cam Newton. And if it's not Cam Newton, you essentially let him have the pick of whatever quarterback is going to be next for the Panthers. And I do think that's something that we haven't mentioned yet. The earlier that you do this, the quicker you're able to bring in a coach that has a say-so on the Cam Newton situation and whether he does want that to be the quarterback that brings his team forward on the most important position on the field.
I do like the aggressiveness of here saying we don't want to lose a competitive advantage and miss. You hate, and the Panthers, I feel like, have done this a little bit in the past, is where they've waited a little too long, and then when they end up having to make the decision they got to make, you're kind of left with the table scraps.
Yeah.
And he is not going to be left with the table scraps. Guys, on the other, you guys can't see it unless you're watching your YouTube video, but I just put up an image right now. This is from @Sportsline, who will be the Carolina Panthers head coach week 1 in the 2020 season. Right now, Greg Roman, the favorite, plus 250. Mike McCarthy, plus 400. Kevin Stefanski, plus 600. Robert Saleh, plus 7. Goes Robert Saleh, Jason Garrett, Eric Benamy, Josh McDaniels, and then Bill Cowher at plus 5,000. So that's a no. That's not going to happen. All right, let's just go ahead and scratch Bill Cowher and Jason Garrett from that list. All right, real quick, who do you have on your eyes set on Greg?
Well, number one, I've been saying it for a few weeks, Greg Roman. I think he's definitely going to get a head coaching job. Not I think he definitely, but he's definitely going to get a head coaching job next year. I think that he has a great mind for the game. He creates an offense around the talent that he has rather than trying to force somebody to do something different from what I've seen of him. And he's had some great success. So that's my number one guy. And I honestly don't know a lot about coaching. Y'all just want to go one by one, or you want me to just give you?
Yeah. Is that what do you? I know Cody, and I think actually our number one is the same.
Yeah, and can I just say, I would be so disappointed if we went from Ron Rivera to Mike McCarthy.
Oh, guys. I don't think he should be on the list. I think I want to strike. I mean, obviously, Bill Cowher's stupid. I want to strike Mike McCarthy from the list. None of us want him, and none of us want Jason Garrett.
Well, I saw Chef Jeff in the chat saying that apparently staff members were talking about Mike McCarthy. I don't know. You can't trust anything you hear at this point.
No.
You know,
we are not getting Mike McCarthy. He's no. I want to go to the point, though, since Greg said Greg Roman. Before the show, Cody, you brought this up to me, is that Greg Roman is the hot name right now because he's with Lamar Jackson, MVP, a guy who's playing as well as Cam Newton played in his MVP season, and he is the hot name because of the way that offense and what he's been able to do. But there are some concerns about Greg Roman coming to Carolina when it comes to Cam Newton, his health at the current moment, and how that system could be run by a Cam Newton. So tell me your thoughts on that.
Well, yeah, so if we're talking about Greg Roman, I mean, look at that Ravens offense. That's it. Read that play action, running the football, but they're also running the hell out of Lamar Jackson. I mean, they are using the threat of Lamar being a mobile quarterback to their advantage. And if we're talking about Cam Newton, are we comfortable with Cam Newton running that kind of power run offense again at this point in his career? I mean, after so many injuries. Then I've read something, I was tagged on Twitter about apparently there are people that are still concerned about maybe Cam Newton not having all the arm strength that he once had. But I don't know. If we're worrying about Cam Newton's health, it just doesn't seem Greg Roman would be the fix to come in and change that. Now, if you're not going to run that read option, play action type of offense, then do you even want Greg Roman? Do you look to maybe a Jim Harbaugh, who a lot of people have been floating around, has connections to Scott Turner, our new offensive coordinator, which is something else to talk about later on. I don't know. I don't know if Roman makes all the sense right now, even though I wouldn't be mad at that hire. There are some legitimate concerns.
Yeah, or more, not even concerns, but just questions of how it would work is because of all the things you said. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, no, I was just going to say I agree with all that stuff, but I'm just saying he builds an offense around the players, so he may not run that same kind of offense, but he may have some different kind of stuff he can build with it. He's just had a lot of success where he's at. So, CK, was you saying something?
Yeah, I was gonna put my 2 cents in. I mean, I thought Greg Roman would be a good idea, and then when you start thinking about those things, Greg Roman has run an offense without that power QB and everything with Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor wasn't a run-first quarterback up there in Buffalo. They gave the ball to LaShawn McCoy a lot more. But the problem with that is it was a very vanilla offense. So without the ability for Cam Newton to have his legs, if that's really the concern you have, I don't think Greg Roman is the person that you put in that place unless we do decide to move on from Cam Newton, which I'm hoping is not the case. But if you ask me, if Cam Newton is without his legs and without his deep ball, what do we really have in Cam Newton?
And to echo, to kind of build on what CK just said, Lamar Jackson, those only come around once every few years. So if you have Greg Roman, I mean, you have to install a certain kind of quarterback in order to make that offense run.
Yeah.
And that's a lot easier said than done, man. There are not very many Lamar Jacksons in the world. Now, if you're talking about a healthy Cam Newton, then, that's a completely different story.
Yeah. Well, you also got to remember with Lamar Jackson, too. He is playing at a phenomenal level, but he's not going to play like this every year. Like, no player plays like this every year. Now, if he comes back next year and does just like this right here, it's going to be insane. But he's having a really good year. I do think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but I don't think he's going to play with these kind of numbers every year. That's just way too crazy. But I could be proven wrong.
All right, let's do this. Let's take a break momentarily from discussing future head coaches, and let's get into the cat calls for a minute, and we'll come back to it. Before we get into the cat calls, don't forget, if you're going to go check out a game, whether it be the Hurricanes on Thursday, I think they're hosting the Sharks, or you want to check out a Hornets game, I think tomorrow they are playing they're playing Golden State right now. You want to go to vividseats.com, get the Vivid Seats app. They'll hook you up. You can get the ticket you like for a price you like. Go to Vivid Seats. You take advantage of their rewards loyalty program, and you get every ticket. Be sure is backed by 100% buyer guarantee. That's the Vivid Seats app. Promo code OVERTIME. That's right. If you use the promo code OVERTIME at checkout on the Vivid Seats app, you will receive up to $100 discount on your first purchase. I'm telling you, super easy. Go check out the Canes. Go check out the Hornets. And, heck, you can even, in a couple of weeks, go check out the Panthers against the Seahawks. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get to the cat calls for a moment. Let's just see what the fans got. There's so many calls to get to. I figure we'll let them lead the conversation. But I do want to come back to Cody's pick for the head coach after a couple of calls. Let's see what you guys got.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty you shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like...
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his notebook? Who's that kid that can use one?
Oh, what a beautiful day in Carolina. Ron Rivera, Mr. Mediocre himself, has been sent down the road. I can't wait to see what Tepper has next up his sleeve, but I'm sure it's going to be a doozy. Go Panthers, keep pounding.
Hey, C3 Podcast, this is Goldie. Today seems to be a sad day in Panther football history. Yeah, Ron was fired today. Yes, I don't know what to say. I'm so speechless, guys. I feel like I'm about to cry. I don't know what to do. Right. Today is not a sad day. Today is a day that should be called for celebration, Tony. Cody, it's celebration time. So one of y'all need to pump up the Cool in the Game celebration time for me. Because today we all the Panther fans should unite and celebrate. Cody, we did it. Cody, we did it. He's gone. He's done. He's out of here. No more time clock management. No more same speeches of missed opportunities. Not taking accountability.
I will not
blaming everyone and everybody else except himself. In the words of the great Ric Flair, woo! Baby, what a day. I am happy. I don't know about you, Cody. I don't know about you, Tony. But I sure am happy as hell. Woo!
What a call. Carl D.
All right. Until next time, guys, keep motherfucking pounding.
Carl D brought the heat. He faked you with the tears. He faked you with that. And then he came in. He said, no more poor clock management. No more missed opportunities. No more tired speeches, Cody. Is it? I think you've really. I mean, obviously, you've been on that hill. People have even been contacting me about T-shirt ideas involving Cody on a hill. But what I was gonna say is that, like, I think every now and then you've talked about Rivera's message getting tired and stale.
Yeah, I kind of think after a certain amount of time as a player, you just, once you've heard it before, you just start to tune them out. And by the way, man, like one of the things that you've heard, or I've seen in the chat and online, people are like, oh man, I wanted this to happen. But then when it did, oh man, it kind of hurt a little bit. Because, I mean, it doesn't take away that Ron Rivera has done some incredible things for the Carolina Panthers. And it's nothing personal. And all the players love him. They all say wonderful things about him. And I have no doubt in my mind that he's a great man, has done great things. And listen, Ron Rivera is going to be a head coach somewhere else. I don't know. They've been talking about David Gettleman in New York. Maybe he's the next Giants coach. No one knows. But Ron Rivera, after a certain
Poor Ron.
years,
He cannot go from here to the Giants. We'd be worried about his mental health.
I don't know, man. I do know one thing, and all the Panther fans in the chat know this. I've been saying forever, it's time to move on. The Panthers can do better. We have to do better. Ron Rivera has done everything that he can possibly do for the organization, and hats off to the man. But it's time to move forward. It's a brand new day here in Carolina, and I'm happy for it. I welcome it with open arms. And everyone should. Everyone should. Because now the doors are wide open to a bright future for the Carolina Panthers.
All right, next call.
Hey, what's up, C3 Podcast? It's Lovato from OKC. Haven't called
What's up,
in a
man?
long time. I've been listening to every show, though. But I have a suggestion for y'all for some
Thanks
merch.
for your support.
I think it would be badass if you guys made a T-shirt with Cody sitting up on a hill in his wheelchair with his arms spread out like Jesus, and it says, join me on this hill.
Hey, man.
I would buy that shit right now, dude. Get on that shit, Tony. Get that damn shirt. Hey, I love the podcast, guys.
He got his Jesus beard going on. Next
I got
call. I
the
think
hair,
that might
I got
have.
the beard.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
down
that might
for
have
it,
been
dude.
before Ron Rivera was fired. Next call.
Paint me like I'm Rose on the
What up,
Titanic,
T3
dude.
Nation, Panther Nation, TTC, everybody. It's your boy J-Dub.
J-Dub, what's good, brother?
Man, it's been too long since I've been
What's
on
up,
this,
brother?
but I'm going to try to keep it good, man. I'm going to do a post-Thanksgiving. I'm very thankful for this team and for our owner, because we have a real owner. This is a man who does not fail. He refuses to fail. If he's going to fail, it'll be by his own doing. He's either going to make some big, huge, crazy chance mistake and fall on his face, or he's going to do it and look like a genius. But that's the way he rolls. That's the way David Tepper rolls. And in David Tepper, I trust. First of all, get rid of Marty Hernan. I didn't like him in his first term.
Ooh, we're talking about
and
this.
I really didn't like him coming back for a second term. It didn't make any sense to me at the time. People thought he made good signings, but I'm sorry, what's the top 3 signings? Paradis, supposed to be awesome. Hey, 32nd ranked center. Irvin, fine. I mean, he's hurt. We didn't have him for half the fucking year, and then he's all right, but I don't know. He still snaps for better people. I don't know. Trey Dawson. I mean, that was a reach for everybody. I mean, he was part of Thieves Ad. He's one of our
I like Trey right now. I was hard on him his first stint. I think he's played well.
I don't see it, man.
Well enough.
And honestly,
He's fine
a
for
smart
what
man
he's
like
supposed
David
to
Tepper,
be.
Yeah.
You change your general manager. And your general manager does all the hirings and firings from there on. So then you're set. He makes all the decisions. You sit back and break it in. You do all your other side stuff like you do. David Tepper, you're a smart man. Let's get this shit right. And it's actually a good year for it with the new GM, because a lot of our contracts are expiring. Perfect timing. The perfect storm. We have a 2-year rebuild. And when I say a 2-year rebuild, I mean rebuild this offseason with a new GM, with everything. Get everybody used to each other and get it under down. And then use the next offseason after that get more and more, do whatever you got to do. And by the second season, you're already playing for contention. That's what I'm saying, 2-year rebuild. I'm not saying like 2 years tanking and sucking. I'm talking about like get a year where maybe competitive. We'll see what happens, and then we know we have, and then next year we're good. It's good time to be a Panther fan. I hope we keep Cam for the other year too, just to address that. Like, he's got 1 year left. Why not let him ride it out? What hurts? Like, let's see what happens. If he doesn't, we're done. If he does, we could. Like, why mess that up? You set yourself up this for a reason. Panthers fans don't need to be freaking out too much.
All right, so the call stopped there. All right, that was the end. All right, I do want to say, let's talk about this, is that when this comes to Marty Hurney, thanks for the call, J-Dub. You the man. When this comes to Marty Hurney, what have we heard when it comes? Actually, this is what David Tepper says on Marty Hurney. Here's the clip, and then I want you guys to tell me what you hear, because we all hear different things.
Before you play it, me and Tony already listened to it. He hears something different than what I hear. We've all kind of pulled our own interpretation of what David Tepper is saying, and we'll tell you after you hear it. But we also want to hear how you in the chat take this message to mean about David Tepper talking about Marty Hurney.
Yeah, what is Marty Hurney's role with the team? Here it goes.
You know, Marty Hurney is one of the best recognizers of college talent in the nation, period. Okay? I don't want to lose that. And he's also not a bad manager. There's also new processes that I want to bring in. I think that, you know, the modern football organization needs a couple people there. And if I was looking in the future, I would have, you know, if I'm looking at the manager in the future and looking at who's going to be there in the future, and, you know, Marty is more senior. If I brought somebody else in, it could be a potential GM. And if that person was more involved in, you know, on the scientific side or the analytics side, and just, you know, interfacing with the business side, just like on the business side, I brought in not only a president, but a COO. This is a COO.
All right. What did you hear, Cody?
I heard David Tepper say that, you know, he doesn't want Marty Hurney, he doesn't want to lose that level of evaluator when it comes to evaluating talent at the college level, and that he's someone that he wants to be a part of the drafting process from here on out. Now, there's two different mindsets to that. We've been saying that Ron Rivera doesn't play our young players. So is it a fact that Ron Rivera just wouldn't play them? Or did Marty Hurney miss on some of those picks? We just let go of Rashawn Golden, who was a third-round pick. A lot of us were not very happy with the Will Greer pick. We've yet to see Jordan Scarlett. There have been players that, you know, you could make a real argument that Hurney hasn't drafted well outside of the first two rounds. And that's what you want to do. You want to be able to
He never misses in the first, ever.
Well, that's legitimate. It's a legitimate thing.
And that's an important thing.
Shout out to God of Blackness in the chat for the $2 love bomb. Thanks you, sir. We see you, man. And so that's my perspective. Now, give him yours.
I heard this. He said Marty Hurney is senior, as in old. And Marty Hurney is good at picking talent, but his ass is fired. That's what I heard. I heard that we're going to come to a mutual end in a short time. Because you know what I didn't hear, Cody? I didn't hear Marty Hurney is going to be instrumental in selecting the next head coach. Didn't hear that.
No, I didn't.
So is David Tepper going to hire a coach and then hire a COO of GMs, assistant GM, replacement GM, but then next? No. This is what's going to happen this is what I foresee Tepper wanting to happen. He has an idea of someone that he sees as kind of himself in the sports business world. a man that has conviction, a man that's got moxie, a man that has vision and is not scared of a challenge. I think he's going to go get that guy. He's going to say to Marty Herney, hey, you can quit if you want, or you can help us in this transition. And Marty Herney's going to suck those last few dollars off that cash cow of a billionaire tit. And then he's going to that guy's going to hire the head coach with Tepper. And Tepper is going to make the hire, but it's going to be him and the young guy over there hitting heads. And then Marty is going to be there because we don't have that person yet.
Yeah, I don't know, man. So I kind of said it kind of like this. We know that Bill Belichick is the general manager in New England for the Patriots, but then there's Nick Caserio that has been the golden child of potential general manager candidates, and he's also heavily involved with the Patriots. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe David Tepper wants something like that. There's someone that calls the shots, but then there's someone that advises him from a more analytical perspective. Now, I'm hoping that doesn't mean just involve Pro Football Focus and their stats into every decision made. I hope that's not what that says. But, yeah, I do think that David Tepper wants to move in a more corporate direction and have all of his bases covered. So,
what I heard was is that I'm not stupid enough to fire everybody today and not have anybody lined up yet for tomorrow. I'm also wise enough that Marty Herney he wants to look good. He needs to look good as he's leaving here. Either that or he's just going to retire. He's not going to tank the franchise. He's not going to get in there and start giving you bad drafting advice because that looks like him. But I heard that Marty Herney's role in the organization would be contracting from the typical GM, who is the guy that goes and picks all this. If you think about it, when you hire a GM, that's the guy that goes and picks his COO. That's the guy that picks all these other people that will then answer to him. I heard Marty Herney's role contracting, not expanding, which to me says, hey, Marty, hang out here until we figure things out. You want to keep taking a paycheck or you want to quit? It's up to you. Greg, can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I can.
Oh,
yes.
Fantastic. Yeah.
All right. Marty Herney. Okay, good.
Let's ask Greg because Greg and I talked a little bit, and he kind of heard what you heard. So, Dad, to talk to us, man, what do you think David Tepper feels about Marty Herney?
Well, like you said, we were talking about it before we started the show, and it felt almost like he didn't have a lot of confidence in him and what he was saying, or at least that's what I took out of what he was saying. He did say that he was great. He was one of the best at scouting college, talent, and that he was a great guy for the job. And he had the old knowledge that he wanted to leave on the team. But I can't remember exactly what he said, and I wish I could have watched it while I just had to put the kids to bed to figure what it was. But he said one thing, and it was something about he's good at what he does. Or
Here, this is what he says. Here, listen to it again.
It's one of the best recognizers of college talent in the nation, period. Okay? I don't want to lose that. And he's also not a bad manager. There's also new processes that I
not a bad
in.
manager.
I think that the modern football or
not a bad manager.
Yeah.
Not a good one though.
Right. Yeah, to me that could be taken a bunch of different ways. I'm sure he probably didn't mean it in a really bad way, but
nope, but it wasn't a glowing way.
Thing. Huh?
It was not glowing though.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of what turned me off to it, or made me feel like maybe he's, like you said, Cody, just kind of gonna stay here, get a paycheck, give us a little bit of knowledge what you need, but it's gonna be time to leave pretty soon.
You will not like this. You will not like that, Cody.
Yeah, Ross Gold with the $5 love bomb says Tepper's interview sounded like he's going to hire a defensive head coach to replace Ron. He talked about old school and Pittsburgh. And he did say that. But he also did, he kind of had a word salad there and said, we want a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
a little bit of what your mama's cooking for dinner, everyone at all. So who knows, man? I don't know. It's so hard to infer what David Tepper wants and a head coach right now. There's just no way to know. But I would bet my money on the fact that it's going to be an offensive-minded head coach.
I hope it is.
Well, you know what I think, and I've been thinking about this. What the benefit of getting an offensive-minded head coach is not necessarily their offensive mind, but think of the opposite is that you then hire a defensive coach, correct? Like you can either hire this or that. So you hire, unless you're Jim Harbaugh, who was a special teams coach, maybe that's the answer. What my point is this, is if you hire a defensive coach, then you got to hope that he gets an awesome offensive coordinator. And if things go well, then that offensive coordinator will also be getting head coaching job in a couple of years. So you're going to have a natural turnover. But if you hire the offensive genius, he won't leave for a head coaching job necessarily, and he can keep around. I think it'd be easier to keep around a defensive coordinator than an offensive coordinator.
I agree. Yeah.
So okay, let's hit a few more cat calls, and then after we're done with a few more calls, let's talk about the brand new configuration of Perry Fuel as the interim head coach and Scott Turner.
It's a big story.
Now going from quarterback coach to offensive coordinator, which, by the way, I'm just going to say it, man. I'm liking that move. I like seeing what Scott Turner has as an offensive coordinator.
An underrated.
Kyle Shanahan.
Go ahead, CK.
I was saying it kind of feels like a Kyle Shanahan type move.
Very much so. Very much so. And I tell you this, is there's a real story there. Guys, there is a story to the decisions that were being made. And it was God of Blackness? Yeah, God of Blackness said this. He asked about Marty Herney if he was going to be working in the cafeteria. Well, if he is, Norv is taking out the trash with him. I tell you that, there's an interesting storyline there. Let's go back to the cat calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button, folks.
He said, "Don't let Herney touch the breadsticks."
Hey, just wanted to talk about our personnel and what we need to do as far as the future. This is to Greg, CK, Tony. Losing Star Lotulelei was a fucking mistake. It was a fucking mistake. It was the biggest mistake we've ever made. And that's not all. Losing Mike Mitchell, the safety back in 2013.
This is
after that
G-Baby, isn't it?
That was a mistake.
I think
Losing
so.
Thomas Davis. That
more
was
muted
a fucking
tonight.
mistake. Losing Josh Norman. That was a fucking mistake. Losing Steve Smith. That was a fucking mistake. This coaching staff has made too many fucking mistakes. It's like knowing your personnel. Want to know why motherfuckers are running the ball? It is because of 3-4 defense, but it's also because we don't have the right personnel to stop the fucking run. We got 3-4 defense. Yes, we were set to have a 3-4 defense at the beginning of the season because we had KK. Losing KK.
This sounds like a manifesto.
The biggest loss of this fucking season besides Cam Newton. It was the biggest mistake, and as soon as we lost KK, that whole 3-4 defense should have been scrapped. And that's why I say, Ron Rivera, you're supposed to be a defensive-minded head coach. Know your fucking personnel. Know your personnel.
I mean,
it just baffles me, man.
I mean, I wonder if you heard the news.
Well, we had
this was probably from before.
It was having those.
Because I went.
Beef in the middle, man.
All right, so but here, let's talk about that for just a quick second. Is one of the negatives going back to Ron Rivera is that Cody is that he has not been good with young players, and he's been reluctant. He's had a hard time, a deficiency in recognizing weaknesses and identifying strengths quickly. You've always made the joke of Star Lotulelei would be starting if he hadn't been hurt still. That story goes all the way down the line, And it finishes with Brian Burns in our first round draft pick this year.
Yeah, and listen, that's another player that has to be loving this. Brian Burns and his brother, who played something like 22 snaps against Washington. Yeah, man, I don't know, man. It just seems I really do wonder how much if Ron Rivera had won against the Washington Redskins, I wonder if we would be having this conversation right now. I wonder how much of it was you're not allowed to lose to one of the worst teams in football.
Yeah,
I think that on top of what had already been happening, we'd lost 4 of the last 5.
Yeah.
3 of the last 4 before this. So, I think that was what the straw that broke the camel's back was Redskins. But I do think that if they'd won that game, Rivera would have lived another week. I think that's what it was.
Let's keep going through with the calls.
What's up, guys? Kyle from VA.
Kyle,
just
what's up?
got the news literally 30 minutes ago that Ron Rivera is fired, and I'm probably the 500th call already. David Tepper, man, gave us a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Now that it's happened, I thought Ron would at least last to the end of the season. But
me too.
Hey, Tepper's already looking for a new head coach. Most exciting news of this season, man. It's been coming. Ron Rivera had to see this coming, so I'm sure someone will pick him up, and I wish him the best success. But
yeah,
Tepper's for real about the future of this Carolina Panthers team. It's nice to see someone's finally putting some stock into the future of this team.
That is refreshing.
I know tonight's show is going to be crazy. Cody is going to be over the fucking moon about this, and I cannot wait to hear this show. Keep coming, guys.
All right, man. Thank you for your support and your call, man. I want to bring this up as Moneybag Lawson said we should have been talking about this after Atlanta. I agree entirely. In fact, I think the decision was kind of already made after Atlanta, or like that it was going to happen. And I think, yeah, and then Redskins makes it like this has got to happen now. Next call.
You got a job. You got a job. You got a job. You all have jobs. And you want to know why? Because Ron Rivera is gone. Hell yeah, as of 3 o'clock today, he is gone. And I have never been so happy in my life.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
Is this
Nick?
Nick?
Just figured I'd call in, let
I
you
think
guys
so.
know. Also, pose one question for you. Okay, we ended up picking up Will Greer in the off season. What do you think would have happened if Taylor Heineke had started and he had taken up the main quarterback role after Cam was gone? Just want to hear your thoughts on that.
We
Love
would
the
all.
show, guys. Listen every week. Keep pounding.
Okay, so this is a tough question because why are we even thinking about Taylor Heineke? And
Well, he gives us a team to root for in the XFL.
yeah. I think though that the point that he is dovetailing to is that what does that tell us about Kyle Allen in relationship to Will Greer? Taylor Heineke, do you think? I mean, I don't think he would have had the same. Maybe he would have had the same success. Maybe not. I think Kyle Allen played pretty well, but I think this is that it would have been a lot easier to put in, or at least it would have been. Will Greer would have been in by now.
Well, let's remind ourselves that they started Taylor over Kyle Allen last year. Taylor Heineke was QB2.
And he got hurt.
So,
right.
yeah. And so how
Who
about
starts
this?
at quarterback Sunday?
Well, yeah. I mean, no, that was my next question. Ron Rivera had been dead set on not playing Will Greer, but now there is no Ron Rivera. So what are the chances that we see our 3rd round pick, the West Virginia quarterback?
It depends upon what we see in Scott Turner. I mean, what do you feel like Scott Turner? I mean, I personally feel like Scott Turner had a much higher opinion of Cam Newton than Ron Rivera did. I may be wrong in that, or North Turner at least. And I think that may speak well to Will Greer's skill set, to where Will is still somewhat elusive. He's got that explosive first step out of the pocket to where he can escape the pressure. So I could see a scenario where Scott Turner is like thinking, our playbook opens up much more with Will Greer in the backfield than does with Kyle Allen back there. But I will say that one of the interesting takes that I heard from Jordan Rodriguez was right now they have a very layered approach with Kyle Allen. They have 2 read plays, and that's really all they're giving him. And with Will Greer, do you have to die that, kind of bring that back a little bit, because he's been on the scout team. He hasn't been learning our playbook as in depth as Kyle Allen has. So you got to wonder what their anticipation is with that too. So I think it's kind of a moot point at this until we see Sunday. I would like to see Will Greer out there, but I could see a scenario where they hold true with Kyle Allen because he's been getting us losses one way or another. So
Moneybags Lawson is on fire. He said RV and his flunkies are out next.
Vermillion? Yeah. Dude, that dude needs to be out the door. Okay, so listen, I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat for a minute here, fellas. Follow me with this conspiracy theory. You know how I've been saying that the drafting of Will Greer was a David Tepper move. It was a David Tepper decision, and it was an insurance policy in case Cam Newton was too hurt to play football, right? I've been saying that was a David Tepper decision. Well, Ron Rivera doesn't want to play Will Greer this season. Maybe David Tepper sent out the marching orders. Hey, we're going to start Will Greer. Maybe Ron Rivera stood his ground and said, no, he's not ready yet. And that just kind of pissed off David Tepper enough to say, all right, I've had it. If you're going to mismanage the roster to this level and not play Will Greer, then yeah, maybe that's what prompted the firing of Ron Rivera. I don't know. Maybe I'm a conspiracy.
Well, clearly he wasn't Ron Rivera wasn't a Will Greer guy.
No,
it wasn't like he was the one pounding the desk to get Will Greer, obviously, or else he would have been more interested. I think it's a lot to ask Ron Rivera to try to develop a quarterback for the future when he's about to get fired. I do think it makes a lot more sense now. But here, the real story, and let's go ahead and break from the calls for a moment and talk about this. The biggest story when it comes to today's news, in my opinion, has to do with the elevation of Scott Turner to offensive coordinator. You go in, you fire Ron Rivera today. We have no idea who is going to be the defensive coordinator. Not a damn word was said about that from what I've heard. Has anybody heard anything about that?
No.
Well, Eric Washington is still technically the defensive coordinator, which I thought was really odd in this whole thing. You're going to promote your secondaries coach to the interim head coach and not address the fact that you didn't trust your defensive coordinator to be in that position.
That does speak volumes. Yeah.
That speaks a pretty large message right there. That now it could be that he doesn't trust Eric Washington, but he feels like maybe Tepper feels like he would lose the locker room completely if he let go of both of those guys, because both of those guys are beloved by that defense. I mean, by the locker room.
Well, you can't let go of both of them. You have nobody. Right now, but here is that we haven't heard what the situation is going to be when it comes to the defensive coordinator. So we just have to assume it's Eric Washington, it's not Ron Rivera. It makes sense, I think, promoting either like Blackburn's too young. So I think that this was a good identification of someone who can be a kind of a temporary head coach. The story, though, is North Turner got demoted in this process. He did not get fired. He got demoted. And they call him special assistant to the head coach. So they said this is what they said today was, North Turner, you're too old. You're too old to be a head coach in the future of a team and it be meaningful. You're too old to be an offensive coordinator in the future and it be meaningful. But we like your son. If we fire you, your son will be upset. So here, go over there.
You'll
go over there
to the regional manager.
It's like being the special assistant to the regional manager.
He got demoted. Look, you know he got demoted.
Position.
He got
What
demoted.
does he even do now? What is his job? What is that?
I think it's because he has experience as head coach. I think the fact that we put somebody in that interim head coach position who has no idea what the hell he's doing.
So is he still is he still in the booth now, or is he on the sidelines?
That's an interesting question.
Here is another. Yeah, that is a great question. And I think the other thing, though, to continue back, it's got to do with the relationship of Scott Turner. This is what it's about. And think about what you said when firing everybody and the defense loves those guys. Well, then on the other side, if you fired everybody on the offensive side, it would just be tough to get through the next couple of weeks. So you want to see what Scott Turner can do, and you got to keep him happy. But you also cleaned house of Ron's dude.
Yeah. Well, with them passing over Washington as just the head coach, I kind of feel like you guys are talking about how the defense loves these coaches. They couldn't get rid of both of them. I don't feel like they love the coaches. I feel like that might be what's wrong with the defense, why they're not gelling very well, is the coaches had lost the locker room. So maybe that's why they passed up on Eric Washington, because they didn't want the defense that he'd already lost to transfer over to the whole team with him being even if it's only for 4 games.
So crazy. Just go over there, Norv. Let's go back to the calls. The number's 252-228-5098.
Hey, Kyle from VA again. Just so caught up in the moment, I forgot to ask. So, who do you think is next? Do you think Marty's next? And when do you think it'll happen?
Yes.
Do you guys think he's going to fire Norv?
I think when the season's up.
If he fires Ron, I see him just clearing house. It makes the most sense. I wouldn't be mad if he didn't fire Marty. I think Marty had a great offseason. So, as far as Norv goes, I don't specifically like Norv in the red zone, but we have put up points this season with a backup QB. So, I mean, I'm just excited to see how this thing is going to unfold, man. This is just and the season that was so bland is the season now is going to be crazy for the rest of the season. This all season, we got something to talk about. Yeah, I'm pumped for the show tonight.
Guys, I think that the advancement of Scott Turner is the most shrewd and calculated, awesome move you could do. Because what you get to is a guy who's familiar enough, who has his dad to lean on, right, in the building. And you get a guy, though, that has an audition.
Yeah.
In the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks, he's got an audition for moving up in the football world. His dad, he called basically they're old. Like, he's a has-been. Not a has-been, that's the wrong way of saying it, but his career's over. Scott Turner's future is ahead of him, and he's got a lot to play for this week. What do you expect out of it, Cody? What do you expect out of a Scott Turner offense?
One, I love the move because I want to see how it does differ. I mean, you only have so much time to install an offense, so you're really not going to see a lot of differences, I feel, between Scott and North. But I think it'll be fun to see the differences of play calling situationally on the goal line. Are there new wrinkles to a Scott Turner offense that maybe isn't there in a North Turner offense? And listen,
it's going to be more aggressive. It's going to be more aggressive, dude.
Norv has had his chance. We know who he is. I've been critical of him. I've also praised him when he deserves it. But I love this, man. Let's see what we have in Scott Turner. And, maybe at the end of the day, he might end up playing a large part in what the Panthers offense looks like moving forward.
All right, next call.
What the fuck is up, C3 fam? It's about
Jeff,
3:20. Just got the amazing news that Tepper finally axed Ron Rivera. About, 8 months too late, but what are you going to do? So glad he's gone. Now let's start talking about getting a new coach. I'm sure I'll call back later with some stuff, but just wanted to I was so excited I had to call right now. I'm sure the podcast is probably going to be like 4 fucking hours tonight. Can't wait. We fired Ron. Let's go.
Next call. Thanks, Chef Jeff.
Go.
B3, what's going on? AJ again. Called yesterday.
AJ.
Just talking a little bit about the game and the elephant that was in the room, but we all know just broke a couple minutes ago. Ron is out of the building, so Cody, cheese it up, buddy. Cheese it up. Go ahead and get the line up of who you want in here, and we'll see what happens. Plenty of options, really. Kind of excited. It's bittersweet. I like Ron. His best years is when he had McDermott with him. I don't know if that is telltale.
I think that was a big part of his success.
Ronald, he'll find another job and he'll probably do fine, just good. So hopefully we get someone in here. Hopefully we're keeping Cam, and we get somebody in here, whether it's an offensive-minded head coach or a defensive-minded head coach. I don't really care, as long as whoever's running the offense, if it is a defensive-minded head coach, he brings a really new, just something different offensive coordinator-wise. Either way, as long as we can utilize Cam to his full potential, what he should be, if he's healthy, if his shoulder's right, I'm good with whatever. So I'm sure this is the hot topic of the night. So y'all chop it up, man, and keep pounding.
CK, you mentioned. Tell us what your thoughts on Sean McDermott were. Oh, he left. Look at that. He had the great.
He just had to mute his microphone for a second.
It's probably.
Let's go to Bat Daddy first, then.
Sean McDermott, I know he was successful when he was here, and he's up in Buffalo right now doing a pretty good job. I mean, I think he's of that same mindset, though, the kind of old school pound the football, which, grind it out type deal, not really a new age, high flying offense type deal. So you might be getting kind of the same thing. I mean, not that he's available and we're trying to get him, but I think we'd be not necessarily in the same position, but a similar one.
He is, though, the best years of our defense were with him. It made Ron Rivera's life a lot better. There's two people in Ron Rivera's career in Carolina that he basically just owes a big giant gift to, and that is Sean McDermott is one of them, and the other is Cam Newton. It's thank you, those two guys. Without you, I couldn't have been what I was. Let's go on to the next call.
I would throw in Luke Kiss into that equation.
Yes. Nova Black?
Well.
Is this Nova Black?
Start over.
No. I don't think
so.
C3, what's going on?
Nope.
AJ again.
Hold on. Here it is.
Yo, C3 is Nova Black.
Nova Black.
Well. Across my phone. Ron Rivera has been fired.
This don't sound like Nova Black.
Justly.
It sounds like he just woke up.
Because this is bullshit. And
there he is.
mediocrity at its best, should I say. And our team deserves better. So the message has been sent. Get your shit together or get the F out. Okay? So hopefully we can get somebody in there that's gonna, you know what I'm saying, light some fire on these guys' asses and stuff like that, put a little sense of urgency, add a little life to these players, fire the team back up, So hopefully we can that, we got somebody who can actually, make the best use of his talent. Oh, that's good stuff. Before we waste his daggone career, with mediocrity and, Ron Rivera show of absurdity and missed opportunity. You guys keep pounding.
All right. Thanks, Nova Black. Next call.
He sounded like the Joker.
Panther Nation, rise up. Hey, it's Steve from Richmond County.
Oh, you can't say that.
I know what y'all talking about. I know it's huge. I love it. I've been on this hill too. But I want to talk about Jackson for a minute. Y'all touched on it last podcast after the post game. Is this kid, is he getting better? Or, he got turned around in the end zone against Atlanta and then did the same thing again, this past weekend. I'm like, I watched the All In, on Amazon and, where they were Munnerlin and then were ganged up on him in that room talking to him about getting better. And I just don't know if this kid can get better. I hope he does. Anyway, glad Rivera's gone. Keep pounding.
That's your boy, Cody. Tell us thoughts on Dante Jackson and pass the mic, CK.
Yeah, Dante Jackson has not looked great. But that's the thing, man. I have no idea what I'm looking at right now. Because we've been saying this about Luke Kuechly, too, man. Luke Kuechly is missing caps, missing assignments. It just seems like there's an overall air of confusion on our defense where players don't know where they're supposed to be. They don't know where the ball is going to. And, you have guys like James Bradbury and Dante Jackson being out of position. Listen, I know this. From a physical standpoint, the ability to flip your hips and follow the receiver and be in the hip pocket, as they say, of the receiver, Dante Jackson has that ability in abundance. He does make a lot of bonehead mistakes, though. And I think one of the things that we do need to remember when talking about a head coach is that first and foremost, a coach is a teacher. They are a teacher of men about how to play football. And you have to be able to impart that basic knowledge onto your football team, onto the young guys, so that way they continue to build and better themselves as players. And it didn't seem that Rivera was doing a good job at developing that talent. So I'm not ready to throw out the baby with the bathwater just yet on Dante Jackson. He has been kind of disappointing, but you don't ever give up on talent. And Dante Jackson has a ton of talent.
Yeah, so I would agree with that. I've been pretty harsh on Jackson for the past few weeks because I predicted Jackson having a bad game against Atlanta because he did the same thing against Ridley the year before. I think that he has the capability of being a good corner, and I've said this a few weeks ago, is that that all or nothing may have shown a different side to him than he actually portrayed for the majority of the year. But the fact is that it doesn't seem like he's progressing. In my opinion, from what I'm seeing, I don't see movement to being better. I think what had happened is kind of like his play style. He gets those dirty eyes. He got his dirty eyes in the beginning of his cornerback career, where people were like, "Oh my gosh, this kid's good." He was getting the interceptions and masking maybe a few issues that he had because he was just in the right place at the right time in a lot of those. So I think that there would be the issue, is that I don't think that he's progressed as quickly as he could, because I think that he felt like he was already where he needed to be because he got early hype in his cornerback career. But I think he has the capability of doing well. I think what's interesting is I feel that Tepper has confidence in the secondary. Otherwise, he wouldn't have promoted the secondary's coach, right? If he felt like the one thing on the defense that was working was probably the secondary, in that they're making sure the ball isn't, there's not a lot of 300-yard passers on the Panthers, right? So the problem is the run game, and our secondary is getting too many tackles in the backfield because the run's getting through the defensive line. So I think that with the new coach, we could see some changes, but I think we need more discipline, and I don't think we've seen that in a while.
All right, next call.
What's up, C3? Chef Jeff here. Just riding home about 4:30. Love it. Loving it. I don't even mind being in traffic right now, 77. I can't wait to start talking about what coach we're gonna get.
but I want to throw this out there. I think David Tepper listens to the C3 podcast. Kind of weird to fire a coach on a Tuesday. Would have been maybe yesterday or something, or unless, maybe they were having a conversation today and things didn't go so well. I don't know, but definitely a little odd to fire a coach on a Tuesday. But maybe listen to the C3 podcast. We want us to talk about it tonight, so I'm sure we're going to be doing that, guys. Just I'm in amazement. I love it. I kind of thought they would wait till the end of the season, but, it's fine. Perry Fuel coming in, going to be the interim head coach. I like his energy. At least he has energy, unlike our former head coach. But I'll be listening, guys. Keep pounding.
Thanks, Chef Jeff, for your support. And I want to thank also the 79 people in the chat room right now watching, along with Bill Daughtereeve, who is, I know, a friend of the show for a long time. Go ahead and turn your phone to the portrait mode or however you got to get to that thumbs up button. There's 44 likes right now, 80 people. Let's get it a little closer. And don't forget, you can be a part of the longest running C3 Panthers podcast. That's why, why Chef Jeff was making such a big deal about the day of the week that this news happened on. It's because the C3 Panthers podcast is the longest running Panthers podcast out there. And also, when you go to iTunes and you just type in Carolina Panthers, we're the number one that comes up, dude. I get everybody I bump into that does not subscribe to the show, and they're asking about it. I say, hey, open your phone up, open iTunes. I'm an Android guy, so I don't get iTunes. And I say, just type in Carolina Panthers. They say, no, tell me the name of your podcast. I say, don't. Just type in Carolina Panthers and listen to me. And the C3 Panthers podcast comes up number one every time, man. And it's because of the fans in the chat room and the supporters of the Cat Calls line. Let's keep pounding with these calls. Numbers 252-228-5098.
I'm not dreaming of Ron Rivera being fired.
Why?
Because David Tepper sent his ass home.
C3 Panthers podcast. Merry Christmas, motherfuckers. David Tepper is not playing. Get him out of here. Ron Rivera
Merry
doing
Christmas,
the
motherfuckers.
because the river boat has sunk. Christmas came early. Happy Hanukkah. Feliz Navidad. All that. I'm happy right now. I might even open me up a present right now. That's how good I'm feeling. Long awaited move. I'm glad David Tepper said he's not playing. He's handling business. Hope Hurney's next. We're getting a jump start on the head coaching position. I like it. Let's be aggressive. Let's get somebody in here that can move this offense, that can score at the one. We need it. I hope a Cam Newton extension or we're keeping count. I hope that's next, and keep pounding. It's a good day in Panther history.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate, Christmas, holidays, whatever you want to call it, came a little bit early. Man, I really am still in shock. In the middle of the show, over an hour into the show, hours after this has happened, it's weird that we're talking about this, that this happened. I did not expect this to happen. I might need someone to pinch me, man. I don't know. I'm blown away. I'm still blown away, Tony Dunn.
Important part of the call that stands out to me, fellas, is that Tepper ain't playing around.
No.
And you know what I'm most stunned, or you know how you're in shock a little bit, is I'm in shock too that we have an owner right now that wants his fingerprints on his team so much.
Yeah.
It's a surprising component to me, as I know that people have said it, but I have never seen it. I've never seen an owner who wants to be a part of the organization. Guys, speak on that. What do you think that Tepper wants to be in his kind of capacity as an owner?
I mean,
successful.
Yeah.
That's really bottom line. I don't think he likes to lose. And for whatever reason, and I wanted to mention this earlier when we were talking about it, and Bad Daddy, forgive me for interrupting you, but
you're good.
I have a strange confidence in whatever moves he makes. You know, it's I don't know what it is. I mean, obviously we haven't seen the football side of his moves until literally now, but I feel like he knows what he wants. Like he knows that he's going to make it happen. And it seems as though money is literally the last thing he's thinking about, because he is throwing money at this team to make sure that it is successful left and right. He's adding positions. He's adding, executives. He's adding, assistant general manager, an assistant to the special assistant to the head coach, things like that. I mean, he's doing things that he doesn't need to do. He is throwing money at this, right? Because he wants to, in my opinion, wants to be successful. And that's what's most impressive, is because I think most owners, i.e. Jerry Richardson, would rather be super conservative with their money, keep that money in their pocket, and just hope that coaching is the answer, when maybe it has a lot more to do with who you have supporting that coaching staff, what type of facility you have, whether you have a state-of-the-art, medical facility for your players to be able to recuperate from a game, things like that. I mean, you see so many of these other teams focusing so heavily on that. The Panthers have never done that, and I think that Tepper gives me an easy feeling about it. I had that fear in the pit of my heart about the unknown, but after watching that video with him and Bill Voth, my fears are just melting away. I feel like he sees something in Scott Turner, and that is encouraging, because I really like that move. Oddly enough, I feel really confident with that move. So I just, I think his main goal and his objective is success, and that is it. Money is obviously going to be a result of success, but right now his main focus is bottom line, win football games.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because I've seen him more in the last 2 years. I mean, it got to be 10 times more than I ever saw Jerry Richardson talking or doing anything involved with the team that, wasn't a photograph or some PR thing going on. It almost seems like I was talking earlier. It's like an upgrade for the team, like a phone upgrade. It seems like he's gone on the inside of the team for the last 2 years and rebuilt the internal structure, the organs, the business aspect of everything. And now he's working his way out to what we see on the outside, which would be the team. And he's just working from within to just upgrade everything about this. Because you're right, we haven't had the facilities, we're a smaller market team, but with an owner like this, we could have some of the best stuff that's out there. And I don't want him to be involved like a Jerry Jones type owner, but I do like seeing somebody that's involved and actually feels like they're not just sitting back and collecting money and letting everybody else handle it. He put his stamp on, like he said today. He showed that he had balls.
There isn't an alternate dimension that exists where Jerry Richardson is still the owner of the Panthers and puts out a video interview 5 minutes after the news breaks, explaining.
It's like Man in the High Castle. Man in the High Castle is Jerry Richardson. Somebody needs to make that video, and it would just be like that jaw. That's like, it would be like he would look like a.
Like this is also like, it's an effort to let the fans know, hey, I hear you. The days of you venting your frustration only for the same mistakes to occur over and over, those days are done. We're trying to do a brand new thing here in Carolina. And listen, but he hasn't made the correct decision yet on who the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers is. I hope he does make the right decision.
Or has
yeah, maybe he has. But time will tell. But I definitely appreciate that he wants fans to know that there is a real vision for the future of the Carolina Panthers. And losing to Atlanta and to Washington when, we have this talented football team, and I still do believe that we have a talented football team, man. Even now, even after all the bullshit, dude, we have a talented core. There are talented people on this football team, players that are willing to go out there and put their bodies on the line for the Carolina Panthers. We just need a coach to utilize that talent and provide a new way forward for the Panthers. And I'm happy that the owner of the football team knows that, and he wants the fans to know.
Few related points that I think need to be made. Number one, I like CK's point about talking about the confidence of Tepper and the easiness that comes along with this. What I like about that is not only did you identify that he is able to point to Scott Turner, and I've discussed how I think that's a very shrewd decision, how he did this, that gets a lot of upside too, gives him some opportunity. But at the same time, I think what we see with Tepper that makes us not have to worry about him being anything like a Jerry Jones is that while he is a man of action, he's not a reckless person. And there is a confidence that I feel with him that while he's decided to make, it's not just the decision to fire Ron, but he has made other decisions too, about not only how to not go forward, but also how to go forward. So I think there's a certain confidence that I like. We feel like there is some sort of plan. Even if it doesn't work out, we don't think he's just shooting from the hip. The second thing that, and to relate it back to the call, I heard Roman Harper talk about this today on WFNZ, and he said that he does not see a problem with making Cam prove it next year. And I thought this was an interesting component because all the people who say that Cam Newton will not be with the Carolina Panthers next year ultimately say that he will not play if he doesn't get an extension. Roman Harper, a former player, also did not, he said this, as he said, I don't think there would be anything wrong with that either, making him prove it, earn it, is what he said. And I thought that was interesting because hearing a player saying that it's not crazy to think of an organization of asking a player to do that when he's had real history concerns in this decision making forward. So that's where my thoughts are after that call and those comments.
We kind of touched on this already, though. Yeah, maybe the Panthers do want to make him prove it, but if you're Cam Newton and the Los Angeles Chargers are willing to pay you $25+ million a year right now, yeah, you're not going to prove it to the Panthers for one more year.
But you don't have a choice.
Your entire career has been proved. Well, okay, but see, this is what I'm saying, though.
You would have to force a trade. No, you would have to force a trade at that point. What if the Panthers said, and is it completely absurd to think of this, is to say, hey, we'll go get Greg Roman, Cam, you go make yourself $1 bazillion next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cam Newton holds all the cards right now.
No way, he holds no cards, dude.
I don't think he holds any either.
I think he holds all of them.
Yeah.
How so?
So we'll see. Okay, go ahead first.
Well, I was going to say something before we jump into this. Somebody had mentioned, what the Chargers are going to tell him they'll pay him. Am I wrong in this? The Chargers are not allowed to talk to Cam, right? Am I wrong in that? Yeah. So I mean, yeah, like even in the offseason, they're not allowed to talk to him until he's their unrestricted free agent.
Which is not even until the following year.
Yeah, exactly. So he's not going to know what other people are willing to pay him unless he is released or traded.
And
so
right
that
now
is the
it's
problem.
not high with his injury.
Yeah, I mean, so you kind of you almost force yourself into a prove it deal or prove it year because you're not making chump change, right? You're making decent money. Now, granted, it is a budget for a franchise quarterback, and probably he's going to be more expensive when his contract does go up, especially if he has a really good year. But I mean, I think that there's plenty of plenty of power on the Panthers side, certainly, but. I do agree. Cam Newton holds a lot of the cards in this, and it really depends upon how Cam Newton feels about, number one, Ron Rivera being let go, but also who they decide to replace him with.
But the question is, what's he going to do then?
This is my thought. This is my thought process to answer your question. If Cam Newton decides He doesn't want to have to prove it. He wants a brand new contract to come and play. Then what the Panthers say is, well, if you're healthy, then we're going to see what we can get for you and see who else wants you. And I'm telling you, someone is going to want Cam Newton.
Absolutely.
Well, that's assuming that the Panthers are going to say, okay, well, let's try to trade you. They may not. They may say, well, kick
what
rocks,
options do they have, though? Let's say Cam Newton decides not to play next year, and unless they give him a new contract. Well, what are they going to do? Go forward with Kyle Allen? Or do you get something for Cam Newton right now?
Well,
it just depends. And what I mean when Cam holds all the cards is that his decision on this isn't going to matter a whole lot.
It's going to be the number one reason for whatever happens. If Cam Newton gets traded, it's Cam Newton's decision. Because I think you lose a lot of trade value if you make this the holdout process, right? And then if you wait 100%. Too long, you start to you lose the ability to pick out draft picks. So I think Cody's got a perfect example of where Cam Newton has the cards. He's going to go to David Tepper. I think David Tepper is going to respect whatever decision Cam Newton brings to him. Whether Cam Newton comes to him and says, I want to play here or I want to play somewhere else, David Tepper is going to either trade him or keep him based on that answer.
Well, here's the reason why I disagree with y'all that he has all the cards is just because he's in the same situation Le'Veon Bell's in if he does that kind of thing. Because, he can hold out next year and say, I don't want this $19 million. You can sign me to an extension or you can trade me. And the Panthers can say, well, kick rocks, man. And guess what? You don't make that $19 million that year. And because you didn't play, you still have that year on your contract. It's the same kind of situation Le'Veon Bell was in, where unless you play X amount of time, you don't accrue it that year.
Well, but
you're still under contract for 1 year.
But the fact that it's a quarterback and a running back makes it a different discussion altogether. Because the
quarterback that's had 2 surgeries and lost a lot of the last few games.
I have a question.
You're depending on your quarterback to run the entirety of your offense.
I have a question.
Another running back can come in and be a Le'Veon Bell. Yes.
All right.
Cody, is it realistic that Cam could truly sit out a year?
I mean, I don't know.
Think about that. He's going to be 31. It would be 31. He would not have played a healthy season since 2016. And think about this, is what if the Panthers said, fine, you think you got a big D? Check out my $1 billion D over here. And they just said sit for a whole year. You don't even know what the teams are in 2021 that could even want him then.
Right.
It's be a whole different host of teams by that point.
I think Cam Newton, and I'm not sure he cares about the record books, but by doing that, he really takes a dent in his ability to be able to make a name for himself on the record books of the NFL. I think he would really hurt any ability to really put himself in the Hall of Fame conversation if he did retire at some point in the near future. I think that move by itself, him sitting, would be detrimental to the legacy that is Cam Newton.
But that's a point in our favor, because that would be a reason for him not to do this. He really doesn't have. If he does do this, that's a hit he takes. So that's a reason he wouldn't want to do that. So that's a card out of his hand. So he needs to play.
Again, the wild card here is I guarantee you that whoever the next coach of the Carolina Panthers is, they are going to have a tremendous say-so about the future of the quarterback position, because you're not going to bring in a head coach and make them commit to a quarterback that their future is up in the air. And who even knows what Cam Newton wants to do right now? We know in our heart, we feel that Cam Newton wants to be a Carolina Panther. There's no reason to think any different. However, I don't know. I'm not. It might not be the most likely scenario that Cam holds out, but I would understand if he's like, well, listen, I'm not going to risk, playing another year in a brand new offense, mind you, a brand new offense under a brand new head coach. And then if that doesn't work out, that affects my ability to make money with another team going forward. So, I
just don't think it's really. I just don't. I don't think he holds enough cards to do that and it be in his interest even.
Right.
You know, is that if there's two things, he either forces a trade or forces the Panthers to cut him. They could cut him and it not cut. That might be it, is that he would hope that they cut him. And then he can go sign a free agent deal. But I think if you're that embattled at this moment, I think the Panthers might be a little bitter about it. And so, I mean, I don't know if it's just a feasible option for him to miss another entire season based on the premise that he may get hurt again after he's been hurt the entire time.
Right. And Cody, what you were saying about, you know, he doesn't want to play under a new coach and a new system. Well, if he goes to a different team, he's going to play under a new coach in the system.
No, right. No, well, I'm just saying, though, for example,
first-year coach.
So next year, I mean, he's going to have to play under, like what you just said, a brand new coach no matter what.
Yeah.
But he has to prove in that 1 year under a brand new head coach that he's worthy of a brand new contract, either here in Carolina or somewhere else. And there's going to be growing pains when you do have a brand new offense and the quarterback is having to learn different things. I mean, it's going to be different, and that doesn't bode well for him. Now, it doesn't necessarily end up bad for him either. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns.
Because going to another place, Cody, whether it be, I mean, is obviously that team is not going to be great. Right? They might feel like they're close.
They're going to need a quarterback, yeah.
They might feel like they're close, but they're not a great team at this point. I mean, you go to the Chargers right now, you go to the Dolphins, you go to the Titans, is that, there is potential there, but there is also a certain familiarity here, and people love Cam here. So there is a moment, an opportunity for him to play and play well, and then really put us in a hard spot in 2021 if he goes and balls out, and then you're like, oh man, wow, here we go. We got it. I mean, let's go future Cam, no future Cam. Oh, that's when
we'll have a very similar situation to Dallas, where we now have to pay a star running back, a star quarterback, and whether you agree or not, eventually DJ Moore is getting his money. So you've got to be able to figure out a way to pay him too. Coming
5 years from now. 5 years from now. All right, let's go back to the. Oh well, yeah, you're right, because he's 2 years
and that's
in.
assuming he doesn't ball out and then do what DeAndre Hopkins did, which is get a new deal before his rookie contract was out. So we may be a year or two out if he balls out next year.
Yeah.
Tough question. Think about it on this call. Is if this is a complete rebuild, think no Cam Newton, like in that situation, what does that mean for Christian McCaffrey, Luke Kuechly, KK Short, Trey Turner, guys like that? Let's go to the next call while you think on that.
Hey, fellas, this is Sarah Taylor. I was curious
Sarah.
what the subject was going to be, what the topic was going to be tonight, but I guess I know now. I'm still trying to come to grips with this realization. I knew it was coming, but I was really shocked.
Joey Sly, obviously, is the topic.
But I wish the best for Rivera. He's been a fantastic coach up until this point.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy because I remember the feelings when Fox left and now Rivera's left, and damn it, Tepper better come up with somebody good to replace this guy, because I'll be damned if I'm going to deal with Norv Turner as the head coach.
Amen, sister.
But anyways, it's definitely a new day for Panther Nation. Like I said, I'm just trying to get my emotions together because I'm just absolute shock. But I'm really not that surprised. So keep pounding, guys, and I'm sure this is going to be an interesting conversation. Later, guys.
She was actually the one who broke the news to me on Twitter.
Fantastic call.
That has me ask a question. Do you think Norv was put as the assistant to the regional manager for that? I'm sorry, I'm just using that as a reference.
It sounds way better.
You know, did he put him there because Norv didn't want to be a head coach, because he doesn't want that, scrutiny that comes along with that? Or do you think it's that Tepper didn't have confidence in him? Because if he didn't have confidence in him, I personally believe that he wouldn't have been promoted in any
facet.
Well, maybe it's because Ron Rivera brought Norv Turner in. You know, after he fired Rick Shula, he brought in Norv Turner, and after Ron Rivera is fired, maybe Norv Turner, maybe he feels like that's too much of a stab in the back. Like, I came in knowing that if ever you got the axe, I'd be next in line. And yeah, let's be real, man. If you had your son on the same team as you, and you've been a head coach and you've won Super Bowls, yeah, man, you want your son to ascend and rise and do his own thing now. Maybe Norv Turner is happy being assistant to the regional manager. Maybe he's happy about that role.
I think you're right, though, is that, one of the things I always said that Ron Rivera was nervous, or I said it like twice my whole life, so it's not like I always said it, but the fear of bringing in a coordinator who was arguably equivalent to him. And, it's one thing to have guys that have been under you and they leave, but then you go and get somebody. When we fired Mike Shula and we brought in Norv, the wonder I thought is you would hate to bring in a guy that would be your replacement. And Norv wasn't that. He wasn't his replacement. And I think you're right, Cody. I think that it was largely because you got to wonder, was it essentially offered to Norv, but everybody politely declined?
That's what I'm wondering.
That's a really good question.
That opportunity, because Norv has been a head coach, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He's been there. He's
twice, several times, either for both San Diego for a prolonged time and Washington.
But I don't believe he's ever won as a head coach. I believe.
Yeah, he's had a couple of 13 win. He's done some pretty good things.
Yeah,
and he won, and he's obviously won a lot of Super Bowls as an assistant.
But let me ask you, from a where you putting your team in a person, in somebody's hands who's going to be able to actually take you to that. I'm not saying that we're going to have him as a head coach next year, but at least ease the transition to a new regime. Would you take the guy who's never been, more than a secondaries coach, or the guy who's been a head coach in the league and has been in a part of the league for decades?
Yeah, and that's kind of why I said I think Norv Turner kind of probably turned down. But Norv Turner probably said, "Listen, I don't want to be the head coach if Ron Rivera gets fired.
Exactly.
If you'd like me to stay on, I'm willing to be here, probably largely because his son is here." So I imagine that probably played a role just as much, if not more than anything else.
I'm going to stick with my initial thought, and I'm going to say no, is I think that right now this was a clear, the house is like, hey, the past is gone. Ron Rivera is a thing of the past. Norv Turner, thing of the past now, right? Is the game. How many times have people said the game have passed him by on this podcast? Mm-hmm. So this is no longer about looking back or even maintaining in the last few games. Is that now we're going to put in? I think it was shrewd to put Scott Turner. I've said it over several times on the show why I think that is, but I think this was a very strategic decision to move forward. And now you identified people on the team who have a lot to play for. Now you got Eric Washington, who's auditioning now, trying to rejuvenate his image as a failed defensive coordinator. Now you've got Fuel, who has been at least named, and he's black, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so he has been named for several head coaching positions in the past, and somebody, I think Cody, you were mentioning that he may have even interviewed for the Carolina Panthers when Ron Rivera was hired.
Yeah, I believe it was between Ron Rivera and Perry Fuel at the time that they decided on.
He's got a lot to show right now that he's more than the Rooney Rule, right? I mean, think about that. If you're always an African American coach right now, and you're on the bubble, you're trying to prove that you didn't get the interview because you were black, but because you're a good, you got a lot to bring to the table. And then Scott Turner also has a lot. I think he identified a lot of people that have a lot to win in this moment.
I mean, let's be honest. And what do we all think the chances are that Perry Fewell plays himself into a head coaching job this season?
With 4 games.
My fear is that he does. My fear is that he does. And the reason I say fear is exactly what happened with Freddie Kitchens last year.
Yeah.
And Freddie Kitchens is not a good coach.
But it was different with Freddie Kitchens. He was with Baker Mayfield, wanted him to be the coach. I don't think Kyle Allen's going to, deem who he wants right now. Who he wants
Kyle
to be.
Allen's going to have a say. Personally,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think he'll have a say in it. Like what's the name?
But I don't think Tepper is naive enough to think that he's going to be ready to be a head coach just yet. I mean, it'd be great because I almost want him to be head coach for a long haul, just for the puns that you can come up with his name. Give
me fuel, give me fire, give me all that the Panthers desire.
Hey, you know what? That's a perfect segue, that desire, because Brad Dugan in the chat asked, how attractive is this Carolina Panthers job? And that's a good question, I think, man.
I think it's very attractive.
Okay, why? So let's all kind of go through here and lay out what makes this Carolina Panthers job attractive. Let's also keep in mind
what the other jobs are too.
Yeah, so the most popular sports franchise in the world, and the Dallas Cowboys, is probably going to be open for business. I think the Giants are probably going to be open for business. I think the Browns are probably going to be open for business. And that's not even considering some of the other teams that we don't know yet that are going to be open for business. So what are the key features about the Carolina Panthers that would make a coach want to choose coming here over somewhere else?
I'll tell you. It's that you have an owner who will do anything to make sure you succeed.
Okay.
When you talk about it from that perspective, Jerry Jones has already got his practice facility and everything. Yeah, certainly. But right now, if you can get in on the ground level of what Tepper is doing with this organization, you have the ability to be a part of the dynasty, similar to what Bill Belichick was, right? The New England Patriots have been around for a while, but it wasn't until that, until what's that?
Early 2000s.
Yeah, until what is his name that took over? I can't even remember his name. Anyway,
For who?
the owner the owner of the Patriots.
Kraft.
Robert Kraft. Yeah, I should have known that.
Hand job Kraft.
You guys realize that he took over not long before this dynasty was created. So, are you going to go with somebody who's a known commodity, who's known in the Dallas Cowboys to just run his organization any way that he wants to, and he's going to control any coaching decisions, anything like that in Jerry Jones? Or are you going to go with somebody who's going to give you reign to do what you need to do, but also support you 110% in everything you need to make sure this team succeeds? I think that's where the allure comes from.
Cody, question to you on that is respond to CK's comment about the Dallas job, because there's some other things too that while the Dallas job, you said it's attractive, and the fact that it's the largest, but it might have the best team right now.
Yeah, I mean, they have a loaded. I mean, I think. Okay, so it depends on who we're talking about coaching. So, for example, if you're Lincoln Riley, right? That's the guy that's who my little heart desires. Okay, Lincoln Riley. I've been very open about this. So Lincoln Riley is from Texas. And that plays a big part in this. I mean, you grow up as a Texan, and then, how often do you get the opportunity to be the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys? I mean, that's something that's legitimate to consider. And, yeah, they do have great players on offense and defense. From my perspective, the Carolina Panthers offer this. Imagine building a better offensive line for Cam Newton, and you have Christian McCaffrey and Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore. I mean, add in another receiver to that position, maybe another tight end, and man, you're talking about there's no limit to what this offense can be under a mind that knows what to do with it.
Can I add one more piece to that?
Yeah, please.
The other allure would be the Carolina Panthers have never won a Super Bowl. if you're the only coach, the first coach to ever win a Super Bowl for our organization, you will forever be revered by this town, the Panther Nation.
Imagine where we would be at if Ron would have won in 2015. You could have been the same exact coach right now, but guess what? We would have all been
enamored. Yeah.
Well, we would have been dying on the hill for Ron.
Yeah. Well, listen to this, though. If we're comparing it to Dallas, I would use the argument if you're trying to decide between Dallas and Carolina that, like, really compare the two teams and like, look past the forest and don't miss the tree through the forest. Like, we have a better wide receiver that has more yards than their top wide receiver. We have a better running back than they have this year, statistically.
We have a better
linebacker than they have this year. We've had a harder schedule, and we're only one game behind them. If we were, racing them, they're 6-6 and we're 5-7. Realistically, we look a little more talented than they do.
I tell you one thing, we don't got an offensive or a defensive line.
Well, yeah. I mean, they don't.
They do have a quarterback right now. They also have a quarterback. We don't know exactly who. And so I think you're right, is that I think the advantage probably it would be immediately the Cowboys might be more suited at this moment. At least they seem to be.
Can I tell you, I think there's a team that's, if we're talking about Lincoln Riley specifically, there's a team I think is more dangerous to steal him from us than
Please
Dallas.
do not say the Browns.
It is the Browns.
No, nobody wants to go the Browns, dude. It's tainted.
Tony,
it's
think
tainted.
about this.
It's broken.
Why was Baker Mayfield a Heisman winner? That's right, because Lincoln Riley made Baker Mayfield an incredible, almost 50 touchdown passer.
He's pretty good till he got to him.
Also, he was a transfer. Lincoln Riley definitely helped.
Lincoln Riley is 33-5 as a coach, and he's like 20. He's 36 years old. He is 36 years old, and he is 33-5 as a coach. And he also he was the offensive coordinator at East Carolina, where Justin Hardy and Zay Jones accumulated the most catches in all wide receiver history. Shane Carden looked like a damn Joe Montana here in this little school. He's had success everywhere he's gone.
And think about what CK said as well. They've never won a Super Bowl either. And imagine if
it's a bigger market.
Yeah, and
how is Cleveland a bigger market? No, it's not.
Forget the market. But the air around the Browns is they've always been a dumpster fire. So if you turn that franchise around, and you already have a quarterback up there that you've built a relationship with that works, and you have Beckham and Landry. But
wow, I would have said
why I'm happy about David Tepper doing this move now. If you have a Lincoln Riley in mind, you need to already be talking to his people. It needs to happen now.
Do you think Lincoln Riley comes here if we keep Cam, or do you think he comes here if we promise he can pick his quarterback?
I say you have to do both. Try and let him have a year to turn Cam Newton into the player that we all believe that he is. And if it doesn't work out, Lincoln picks the next quarterback for the Carolina Panthers.
I truly hope that Tepper, what he does is he can play the long card enough. It seems like, well, you know what? The question is this: is he the guy that's going to pick him?
No.
Is Tepper going to go handpick a coach and then get a personnel guy?
I think Tepper's smart enough to have a group of people can basically help him make that decision. I don't think he's going to be hey guys, I'm going to go into a room by myself with this coach and we're going to make a decision on it immediately without consent from anybody else on this organization.
So if they hire a coach and that coach is pounding the table for a specific person, David Tepper isn't just going to ignore him.
I think you also have to recognize, though, if he was audacious enough to go steal Lincoln Riley away, right? Who is kind of a god right now where he's at. If you do that, you probably have to make the verbal commitment to him that whatever he wants is going to work for the long term. Like, even if you want Cam for just a year, and we move on past that, you're still our dude. Like, you have to, I think if you're going to get Lincoln Riley, you got to say that. I don't think, that's where I think the Cowboys' job might be nerve-wracking to a Lincoln Riley.
No.
Is that to work under a guy who might be a hindrance to you might not be worth it.
Well, let me ask you guys this. What if we talked to Lincoln Riley and he said he would come here, but only under the condition that we get a new quarterback next year? Do you still want Lincoln Riley?
I mean, we need somebody, and
if you believe that much in him, yes.
Okay.
And when I say I mean if you believe that he's a guy that has the foresight to lead your organization, you do have to recognize this, is that while I'm gay for Cam, and I want him to play till he's 70, you do have to recognize he will not always be the quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, right?
Yeah, I have come around to the notion that as much as I do not want it, there is a very real possibility that Cam Newton is not the quarterback for the Panthers going forward. And I could not imagine a scenario at the beginning of the season where I would be saying that right now. But it's true. But I do want to echo what Air Raid in the chat says, and this is kind of what I've been thinking. I think Lincoln would love Cam. I mean, if you look at some Jalen Hurts highlights of what he's been doing at Oklahoma right now, you can't tell me that you can't imagine Cam Newton doing the exact same thing, man, if not better, way better, in that kind of offense.
Is Jalen Hurts coming out this year?
Yes, indeed.
So what if they talked Lincoln Riley into coming in, and we had like a top 5 pick, and he could pick up Jalen?
We're not getting a top 5. Just
okay.
let you know, it's not happening.
What if we
top 10 would be lucky?
Well,
right? I mean, let's be honest. If we crack the top 10 right now, we're lucky.
Top 10 is possible.
As the
very
months
possible, yeah.
go on, I don't know about top 10. As the months go on, we are going to have to start having some very real discussions about Tua Tagovailoa. It's inevitable. I mean, if he's going to fall to us and we're in need of a quarterback and he's there and he does declare for the draft, man, that might be the Bears passing on Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes.
All right, so when
people are afraid he'll be hurt, but
all right, so
you never know.
In some ways, we're making this too complicated, right? Is like, would this guy want to come here if this was this and that? When you hire the guy, he's only going to have a limited understanding of what he's getting into. I mean, you're going to kind of introduce him into it, but you're not going to really start and lead with Cam Newton's x-rays and MRIs and the thoughts about him for the next decade. You know, you mean you're really having that person pitch to you why they should be the guy, not why
That's true.
you should love them so much. Right. Is that we're not trying to sell our organization. They're trying to sell themselves to our organization. And I think the good news with Lincoln Riley, though, is that, and I'll make us just a caveat or a story to another former East Carolina coach, and Steve Logan. And Steve Logan was a pretty successful coach at East Carolina. He's been in the pros. He's a guy that coached David Garrard. He's been a quarterback coach. I thought he would have been a great fit in Carolina instead as a coach, as a quarterback coach back when we had that stupid dude from like Ken Dorsey or whoever it was. But he always just kind of got giddy and gushed when he talked about Cam. And it was always like this: if you could just give me Cam, I could fuck shit up. Like, come on. Yeah. And I think that's what you were saying, Cody, is that, like, how can you not be like that a little bit with Cam? It's like, if he's healthy and I'm a QB guru, we're going to annihilate Muggs.
And everyone's sleeping on him, thinking that he's spent, washed up, inaccurate, all this bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden, here comes Carolina, boy. Cam Newton's got that reinvigorated fire under his ass with a head coach that wants to put numbers on the board. I'm telling you, man.
I think we got to start looking at Cam being an attractive force, not an unattractive, because the worst that's going to happen is what it is right now. And that coach knows that. He's like, the worst is it's going to be this, and I got to fix it. The best is it's going to be Cam, and I got to fix it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the calls. Numbers 252-228-5098.
Hey, what's happening, y'all? This is G. Cavassier.
What's up, G?
It's short and simple, man. Y'all seen the headlines, man. Rivera is gone, man. Ron Rivera is gone. And I'm happy as hell. Man, I'm happy, man. I mean, I know you guys saw his last press conference, and he was talking about how he wasn't getting sleep and everything like that, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. My opinion, I don't think any head coach, really gets in the NFL gets really good sleep after all the stuff they go through week by week, month by month when the season starts, even on off season. Like I'm saying, my wish came true. Ron Rivera is gone, man. And I read that Perry, that dude, I forgot his last name, Perry.
Fuel. Looks like Farrell, though.
He's like assistant coach or some shit like that for the secondary. He's going to be the head coach or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But, hey, you're going to see what's going to happen, man. We are going to see, man. The only damn thing is this, man. And I said, and I kind of thought about this forever. I said, fire Ron Rivera. Y'all heard my calls and everything like that. But who the hell is going to be the damn defensive coordinator? I pray to God it's not Eric Washington.
It's Eric Washington.
It's not Eric Washington.
Yeah, it is.
But, oh, well, during the offseason, we got to find a head coach, man. We got to find a head coach. Always remember, y'all, keep pounding, keep pounding, keep pounding.
What do you thought? Does Eric Washington has a lot to play for here, too?
Everybody does, man. Dude, everybody has so much to play for. It's insane. I mean, but honestly, you can't fire the entire organization.
It would be impossible.
Yeah, you have to have some coaches to coach for the football team. But yeah, no, listen, there's going to be a lot more changes to come. And that's something that we haven't
Marty Herney. See you later, Marty. I'm telling you.
Marty Herney. I can almost guarantee you that I wouldn't read too much into Eric Washington still being here. I think we're probably going to have another defensive coordinator at the end of the year and just move on to completely different pieces, man. That's the name of this game. The 2020 Carolina Panthers are going to look very different than the team that we have right now.
All right, next call.
Hey, Panther Nation. We got some news today.
This is Josh.
Some big news today.
Josh.
Yeah.
The big cat, Mr. Tepper, has decided that it's best for us all to move on from Mr. Ron Rivera. Opinions and everything aside, thankful for the time we got with Ron, and he did have some good times and some bad times. In the end, it all looked.
He had some times,
at best, but I think for a period of time there really was a shot that he was going to be the solution.
For a long time.
Who?
Yeah,
Ron?
Really about all I've got on that. I'm stunned we actually did it. Don't wish him any ill will. And I have a hunch that he's going to end up being a coach of the Giants or maybe the Bears. I could see him going both those places.
I think he's going to have a mental breakdown if he goes to the Giants.
Well, now that I've got the nice part out of the way. Oh, yeah. Crank it up, baby. We fired Ron.
There's your mo.
Ain't dying on no hill, fam.
There's Carl D's music.
We got entrenched on the hill, and we have gotten to the other side. And we don't know what the future holds just yet. But, man, it's good to know and good to see that we got an owner who wants to see what else is out there, who isn't just going to be comfortable, isn't just going to rest on his laurels, who's not just going to keep bringing in the same damn tired faces, the same tired excuses, and the same missed opportunities that we've all become accustomed to in the last 9 years.
Great call, Josh.
Oh, he got us to a Super Bowl. Did Ron really get us to that Super Bowl? Did he really do that, or was that just a team riding that Cam Newton energy? I think that's what it was. They got hot, won some games, and stayed lit until the very end.
Great call.
The goddamn candle got blown out by Von Miller. Anyway, y'all know who it is. This is Josh from Mass, checking in and signing out. Have a good night, Panther Nation. Keep pounding. Yo, we fired Ron.
Fantastic call, and the reason I like this call so much, I mean, there's a lot of layers to it, but CK, he said that there was a moment where we thought Ron was the solution, and we did not think that until 2015.
Correct. Well, yeah. I think you started to feel that way. 2013, you started to see there was a glimmer of something.
But then 2014 comes, and it's like, again, we started off so shitty.
Started off crappy, but then when it counted, he was able to pull this team up. And
he got the Riverboat moniker that year.
And so in November and December is where, Pete Carroll says it, everybody says it, that's when you've got to get hot. It doesn't matter how your season starts, it matters how that second half of the season goes. And for the longest time, Ron Rivera was very good about keeping this team together and then just dominating there towards the end of the year. And
it was 2017 when it just really ended.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, man, so right now, obviously, I don't know, I'm sure you guys have all done it. I'm going through the Panthers.com and I'm looking at the players reacting to this, man. And you can't help but be emotional because these guys, I mean, they are just.
They loved him, man.
They loved him. I mean,
tell me what they're saying. Tell me what they're saying because I haven't gone through it.
I mean, you have, let's go back to, one of the most impactful, in my opinion, was Greg Olson's. He said, on the day I was traded to the Panthers in 2011, every player who played for Ron in Chicago said the same thing to me on my way out. You're going to play for a great coach, but a better man. And then you have Cam Newton. Will forever be grateful because of the impact you had on my life. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. Thank you for believing in me. I can go on and on, but most important, thank you for allowing me to be me. Obviously in his way of doing
Mike Tolbert, salty Mike Tolbert even coming in there.
How about Charles Tillman? Said sad day for Panther fans. Thanks to Riverboat Ron for taking a chance on this guy in his 13th year. The 2015 season was one of the best years of my career. Your staff, family, and team welcomed me with open arms, and I am forever grateful for that. Even Benet Ben Wickery comes out in support for Ron.
Shut up.
A lot.
Tell me this. Sticky Wiki. Tell me.
Benet Ben Wickery says, respect for Riverboat Ron. Whatever decisions were made regarding me, I honestly don't feel you had much control over.
He blames that on Gettleman.
We had many serious one-on-one talks before and after my injury, and I appreciate your support through everything. Many blessings continuing your journey. So... yeah,
he was always a player's. He was always a player's. And and let's take a moment to think about that. Is that while there is a celebration and that we're looking towards a new era. He did. I mean, he was very important to our organization. And while he was not immensely successful, he was successful enough with Cam Newton to keep us relevant for a decade.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'll say, and a lot of people wanted to point to this, and I appreciate the fact that he's actually addressed this. He said that a lot of people, let's see here, I'm going to tell you, because he obviously had his little exit interview with whomever this is, but he said, I've always tried to remember that I had a responsibility to lead and be the same guy all the time. It was hard. A lot of people said they wished I would be more emotional. How often have we said that? We want you to be emotional, but I think that what I respect about that is that it does bring up part of this that we don't ever talk about, which is he was raised by a military father who was taught him that leadership means being the same person day in and day out, somebody who can be relied on to be the same person that they were the day before, be it a loss, be it a win, he's going to be the same guy. And that's where I think that maybe came from. And I don't think we think about those things, but it is, man, just reading these articles about, what he says about the organization, things. I mean, it needed to happen, and nobody's going to regret the fact that he's gone. But man, it's just, it's kind of like when you make the decision to break up with a girlfriend you've been with for 5 years, and you're like, is this the right decision or not? Right when you get ready to do it, and then it happens, you start to kind of remember all the good times and not the bad times. But I mean, it is tough, man. It's
well, like Tepper said, it was appropriate, right?
Yeah.
And second, I think Ron Rivera did change. I think he changed after the success of the Super Bowl. And what I think it became was more of a, we're going to keep banging the square hole into the round peg mentality. We're doing it right. It's the other things are not going right. And I'm not saying that he was doing it wrong, but it just felt different to me after the Super Bowl, and how he addressed the media afterwards, how he addressed losses, how he addressed it, but kudos to him too. I do like, even at the end, he was not trying to throw players under the bus. And while we continue to look at him as like defending Kyle Allen to the death, defending these people, he was. I mean, yeah, he was. He could have easily said, you know what, Kyle Allen ain't gonna fucking start. I mean, he didn't say that. You know what I mean? Like, he has to do the things that are right when it comes to just people stuff. So, Ron Rivera, great part of the organization, but like Tepper said, maybe appropriate time to part ways. Next call, Cat Calls line 252-228-5098.
Oh, my God. The day I thought would never come. And the day that Cody thought would never come. That all his prayers would be answered, and that all our prayers would be answered. David Tepper finally put an end to all this mediocrity that we've been dealing with by firing Ron Rivera.
I don't know if he put an end to it, but he's trying to.
Now, I hope the only reason he didn't fire Norv, if he did it, because I didn't hear much, because it literally just happened. I was probably walking to the store when it happened. If he didn't fire Norv, I hope that's just because we need somebody to coach his damn team.
I think he kind of did fire Norv.
Not much else to say other than
basically
that,
the same thing that happened to Eric Washington, but didn't really.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Gosh, Josh Norman out there on Twitter
and I ran into
celebrating.
Somebody who was on your hill, Cody, at the store, or I thought I did, because I thought she said they should fire Rivera, but I didn't know she said they fired Rivera because, number one, I'm hearing impaired. Number two, I never thought that would happen. I mean, I did, but it just seemed too good to be true. All right, guys, bye.
All right, I want to read this. This is Nathan Conley, who is the former guy that was on WFNZ. He's been on the show. He's a Patriots fan, and he's a giant jerk. But just, all right, and I would tell that to him his face. I don't care. He said this, he tweeted this 45 minutes ago, saw Josh McDaniels floated as a coaching candidate for the Panthers. Wonder how fans would feel about that. Not sure it's a fit for either party. Still can't imagine Hurney in place as an appealing aspect for any potential hire. He's got to go for this reboot. Number one, we know Hurney is going to go, so don't worry about that. Josh McDaniels, can you steal away Josh McDaniels, Cody, and Caserio? And the problems with their, like, do they see the end of the dynasty and run out the door? Any reservations about Josh McDaniels after what the hell happened with the damn Colts?
No, to be honest with you. I kind of think that was just, what's the guy's name? Now I'm blanking on it. Robert Kraft reaching out and saying, hey, man, not yet. I don't think that would ever happen twice. It's kind of a I don't see that being something that would stop us from hiring him. I do think Josh McDaniels is a really good coach. I don't know. I would love Nick Casario more than I would McDaniels. I mean, listen, I cannot tell you guys how important the front office is, man. A general manager that knows how to hit on picks, that knows how to rearrange cap space and get some more money here and there to sign important free agents. That's so important. And even though I give Marty credit for this season and the moves that he made and the things that he did, man, I'm not hopeful in the long term that Marty Herney is the general manager for the future. And
Neither is Tepper. He's not hiring the next coach.
I mean, I agree with what that guy just said, whoever you just read. I don't know too many coaches that want to come in and be at the whim of Marty Herney. So,
because it's fake. It's not true. He's already fired.
But then why not fire him already?
Well, he's like temper.
You lose a lot of drafting.
Yeah, that you're not even fired. You're saying this is you can quit if you want, but your contract ends in 2020. Like you can finish it or you can leave. We're not telling you to leave early. What we're telling you is that you're not the GM of the future. I think it's pretty clear. That he didn't come out and say that Marty and Herney and I are going to be working towards finding the next coach of the Carolina Panthers. He didn't say that.
He said he's not bad.
Yeah.
He said he's not bad.
Next call.
Hey.
You know who it is.
Well, fellas, we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
I'm over here flying in the sky, per usual. I live that colorful life, So where should I begin? I want to talk about Marty Herney. I just watched the interview, and David Tepper, man, he basically confirmed Marty Herney's job is safe. I've read a
See, everyone hears something different, dude.
They get along really, really well. And that lets me know, and that confirms Cam Newton. I know I was saying that Marty Herney was going to get fired, but I had to take a step back for a second and actually think about, he's the one that he's the reason why Cam Newton is a Carolina Panther.
Yeah.
And he loves Cam Newton. And so that tells me that I would put my whole life savings on the line, and it's a fucking lot, fellas. I swear to God, I'll put that on the line saying Cam Newton, and this is coming from me. I'm telling you, fellas, Cam Newton is going to retire a Carolina Panther, and he will win another fucking Super Bowl. Not even that he should. We should. I don't even want to talk about it.
I thought he was saying he's going to retire soon.
I'm still in my mind, man. I still just could have, should have, would have, man. But he's gonna win us a fucking Super Bowl, fellas. And I'm telling you, we have. If we get a top 10, it's not even a top 10 pick in the first round. It's a top 10 pick in each fucking round. Like, that is so important. And I'm telling you, if you give Cam a weapon like Jerry Jeudy or C.D. Lamb, man, not even just them. Like, there's the other two receivers from Bama. You got the three receivers from LSU that are all going in the first round.
But we've got a top 5 receiver right now.
Get this motherfucker some weapons, man. Like, this is it, fellas. Do or die, yo. Like, god damn it. Fuck. Tell me what y'all think, man. Like, I'm happy. I'm happy. Like, Ron Rivera, I'm sorry. It's time to go, man. Like, he wasn't getting it done. I'm sick of the same excuses. Like, I'm sick of that shit. Like, I need someone to come in here that actually wants to fucking be here, you cockeyed motherfucker. Like, that's my fucking heart, man. I used to fucking stand for this motherfucker, man. And that's...
Well, real quick, let me just say, I want to give my reason for the whole thing with Herney, and the reason why I feel like it was bad is because, like I said, it was the whole not bad. Cody, if I'm describing a restaurant to you, and you're asking me for a good place to go eat, and I describe a place, and I'm like, that's not bad. What do you think? Or if I'm dating a new girl, and all my friends are asking me, how things are going, that's not bad. Like, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, it's
when
not
is not
a,
bad
it's
ever
not
a good
a
thing?
ringing endorsement, but it's so funny because I feel like the people who heard David Tepper say, "Okay, we're gonna roll with Marty Herney," are keying in on one part of the David Tepper interview, and then you and Tony that are hearing, "Oh, not bad," like you're keying in on another specific part of the interview. But like I said, like G Baby kind of heard what I heard. And by the way, I'm hoping that you guys are right. Like, I don't want to be right on this. I want to move on from Marty Herney. I'm not attached to the man. So I want you guys to be right on this. But like G Baby, I didn't hear any inclination that his days are numbered. I heard David Tepper say that he values his ability to evaluate talent and college football players. So that means more of his decisions in Carolina's future. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but a lot of people are interpreting those words different ways.
Well, real quick, he also said that Ron Rivera was one of the most men he respected the most that he's ever met, and he just fired him. So I'm just saying.
I think that was. He didn't say he was the best coach he's ever met. He said he respected the man.
Okay.
He also didn't say that Marty Herney was the best GM.
He said he was not bad.
Here's what I'm saying. I think David Tepper is a big fan of The Office, and I'll tell you why. The way that he named Norv Turner assistant to the regional manager, and he's basically saying that there is going to be a co-general manager. That's really what I gather from this. Now we have a Jim and Michael type of situation when they were co-managers. So Jim would handle small, like day-to-day things, and Michael would handle big picture things. What I'm hearing from this is that he trusts Marty Herney as an evaluator of talent for college scouting. He does not trust Marty Herney when it comes to negotiating and getting people into contracts that are going to be team friendly, or maybe get free agents from other teams to come to the Carolina Panthers, which we've seen was maybe not necessarily accurate this past offseason, but nonetheless, I think that is probably what I hear most, is that David Tepper really likes The Office, and he's trying everything he can to make sure his team mimics it.
Does that mean Pam is Caroline Can?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm into it. I'm into both of them at the same time, dude.
Yeah. I don't get any of this because I don't watch The Office.
Sorry, a lot of you probably don't. My apologies, guys.
No, everybody does. Most people do.
I caught up on The Office in like a month and a half from episode 1 to the very last one. It's on Netflix, but only for a few more months. So if you want to catch up,
do it.
I do want to say, CK, you were just talking about how you thought he was in a position where, he wants to try to he loves the offense and he wants to try to make this stuff work out the best. That's what you say right before you make the decision to break up with somebody.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's the mode you get into right before you make
it's pretty clear. Marty Herney's day. Look, is that again the real answer to the?
I hope y'all are right, man.
We are totally right, and the reason why is because is his role expanding or contracting? He is the general manager right now, right? Prior to today, Marty Herney was in charge of team operations, right? Like he was the dude that Ron Rivera answered to, that everybody on the football side, he keeps saying the football side of operations, answered to. It sounded like to me today that Marty Herney's job and his responsibilities contracted, not expanded. And I think that answers the question right there. If your job responsibilities are getting less and they were everything, then you ain't going to be everything tomorrow.
Bill Daughtry says, it's not you, Marty, it's me.
All right, next call.
So, hey guys, this is Jedi Joy.
Hey, Jedi Joy.
As you guys have heard, I'm sure already, Ron is gone. It definitely is the end of an era. I'm going to miss him, even though a lot of things were frustrating about him, in particular missed opportunities. But I believe he's going to bounce back strong. I've already heard talks about maybe him reuniting with Gettleman up in New York, which will be interesting if that happens. But this is a part of this podcast. The Panthers, we got to find out what we're going to do post Ron Rivera era. And it also, I mean, from the way it looks like it might be a post-Cam and a post-Luke Kuechly era as well, which it's really hard to think about. We've been able to rely on those three for the last 8-9 years, and now we're going to have to need a new pillar on offense, which is probably looking like Christian McCaffrey if he can keep up this production for the next few years, and possibly somebody on defense who can everybody can rally around, and also a coach who can pick up where Ron left off and hopefully, game plan better and make adjustments and do everything that Ron wasn't able to. Yeah, I don't see us being very good for the next few years, unfortunately, but I still beat black and blue. I still have the 1-15 season or 2-14 season, I think it was. But anyway, I'll survive that. I can survive a couple of years of badness. At least the tickets will be cheaper. All right, guys.
He's a Jedi, so he's wise.
Yeah, there's always a bright side.
All right, next call.
Going to the Super Bowl for fucking Ron Rivera, that was good enough for him, man. That was good enough for him. Oh, I went to the Super Bowl. I'm the best coach to ever fucking go to the Super Bowl. That's how he fucking felt, bro. And
This is Jetta. This is G Baby again.
I love Madden. That's the only game I buy. Because I'm good at that shit. And I play franchise, yo. And when I draft a young player with a superstar trait in the first few rounds, like, he has a superstar trait for a reason, yo. Because he gets extra XP points, yo. If he plays, and he has to play the whole season to be upgraded. Like, what the fuck? Like why would I draft him but not play him? Like, how do I expect him to get better? And that's
talking about Brian Burns
doing, yo. And it baffles me, yo. And honestly, Will Greer, you want to know why Will Greer's not playing? And it ain't because Ron Rivera doesn't want to play him because he's a young talent, because Kyle Allen's fucking young as fuck. But it's because Will Greer ain't about that fucking smoke. They don't want to come out and say that because it looks bad on them for even taking a chance on him in the third fucking round. He should have never been fucking drafted, period.
How do we know, though? We haven't seen him play.
Smoke, yo. He could have beat out Kyle Allen, yo. He ain't about that fucking smoke, and it was a fucked up pick. And we should have went towards the defensive side of the ball, or we went into the fucking trenches, or built a fucking wall for Cam Newton. Jesus Christ. Give this fucker an offensive line, goddammit. That's why I say you take the fucking world talent receiver in the first round, and I don't give a fuck. 5 straight rounds, you drafted that fucking offensive line, man. Build the offensive line. If Cam has a little bit of time, bro, still fucking city, Yak City. Boom, 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 boom. Cam still got it, fellas. Keep pounding.
G Baby gets feeling good in these calls.
And at the day of my heart, we still nice. We always gonna be nice, but we gotta get some wins, baby. Let's go. Keep counting, fellas. You know who this is. G Baby. I'm out.
G Baby.
He always brings. You know what he always brings?
The
fire. Smoke. No, the smoke.
The fuel. The fuel, guys.
Yeah, the fuel. The fuel.
All right, next call.
What up, C3? Brad Dugan here.
What's up, Brad?
Hey, Brad in the chat room. What's up, brother?
But in all reality, you gotta thank him for his contributions to the franchise and what he's done over the 9 years. But it was time. It was time for us to move on and him to move on. And I have one name on my coaching list, Jim Harbaugh.
That was one of my other guys.
Ugh. Yuck. I say yuck to it.
Why is
Is
that?
that the end of the call?
That's it?
So why yuck?
Yeah, that was my number 2 guy. I didn't get to mention him earlier. Why yuck?
I mean, obviously John is the one in Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
So Jim is former 49ers, now Michigan.
Yeah.
Well, because I've seen him a little bit in that show that Amazon did, or whoever did, and he's like a big dorky ass dad. Like he goes into the rooms and he's just like making these cheese ball ass jokes, and he's just like, get to bed, fellas. And it just seems tired there. And you know what is that? Yeah, I am ready to talk football. Is Michigan's fucking sucked under him. I mean, they've been all right. They've been okay. But we've had guys that took over Ohio State that weren't even ready for it under scandal. And all of a sudden, these mugs are better than the guy they replaced. I'm just kind of wondering, is he pro football coaching material?
I think, yes, he's already proven that he is.
He's not proven squat, really. Then Ron Rivera proved that he is, too.
He went every bit as far as Ron Rivera, but I think it also bears repeating that there is a real big difference between being a college head coach and a professional head coach. When you're a coach in college, you have to nestle up to boosters. You have to travel across the country and recruit high school players to come and pick your college, sometimes when they're even sophomores and juniors. It's just so different from having to manage a team of players that are paid to play football. I think it's very reasonable to say that Jim Harbaugh is a much better NFL head coach than it is a college football head coach.
Right.
And even though he has underperformed at Michigan, he's not a losing coach. I mean, that's a winning football team every year.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be mad at that. Scott Turner was in Michigan, so those two already have ties to one another. So that might be a seamless transition where Harbaugh already has Scott Turner as the offensive coordinator of the Panthers. I mean, he might not have to do a whole lot by the time he does come here. So I'm not mad at that hire at all. In fact, I'd say he's probably in my top 3.
I also wouldn't compare his college coaching career with his record against Ohio State, because college is a little bit different with rivalry games than I think pro sports are. For me, they're a little more hyped.
And Ohio State, Michigan may be the most intense rivalry in the history of the world.
Right.
And people don't understand that, but watch that HBO special or whatever the hell it was. I was like, damn. I used to think it was Carolina Duke, but I saw Muggs talking about that one dude was from Ohio, and his son transferred to Michigan, and he wrote him out of the will.
Wow.
Like, these motherfuckers don't play around up there.
Yeah, but what I'm just saying with that is, on rivalries like that, it doesn't really matter about rankings that much. Like, there's always going to be a good game between those two teams.
Well, that's not true. I mean, but Michigan ain't been shit, dude. They ain't been shit.
I was just saying, don't be
years,
too
right?
hard on it. There is a reason why the 49ers fell off of a cliff after Jim Harbaugh left.
Yeah.
All right, so the answer is Jim Harbaugh?
No,
I'm saying it's,
CK, well, you're awfully quiet over there. What do you think?
Well, I kind of wince at the idea because it's just such a different style of coaching to what Rivera was. Like, he is an emotional coach. Like, he is every ounce of an emotional coach. So it's interesting, and you do look at the 49ers, and they had success pretty much every year, beyond any rebuilding when he was there. And he did it under two different types of quarterbacks, a pocket passer and Alex Smith, and a very, dual threat type quarterback such as Kaepernick. The success was there from pretty much any pieces that he had available to him. So I'm not mad at the idea. He wouldn't be my number one choice, but if he were to be hired, I mean, there is, the Harbaugh family has a very distinctive line of success that's in their genetic, and I think I think that is something that is not necessarily learned. I think that is something that is a part of your personality, and I think that's something we should look forward to.
Go ahead.
Brad Dugan followed up on his comment in the chat room. He said Jim Harbaugh a proven winner at every place he's coached.
He said his run 49ers was impressive, yeah.
And by the way, if you do take into consideration David Tepper's comments, how he wants a new innovative thing mixed with an old school gruff type of rough and tough deal, that kind of is Jim Harbaugh if you think about it, because Jim Harbaugh has been having to deal with young players and young coaches and having to adapt to the college football game as it is with spread offenses. But at the same time, this is a guy that was known for building really good defenses and building teams that are championship old school football type teams. So.
All right, we're going to the next call, but I want you to think on Rex Smith's comment as the call is going on. Harbaugh is on my list. I'd also have Saleh as San Francisco defensive coordinator and the Vikings offensive coordinator. Think on that, Cody. I know you got some things to say. Next call. There's 4 more to go after this.
From Raleigh again. Now that the inevitable has happened, it's only right we start talking about who's going to get the gig next. And
perfect. Look at these.
It's got to be Greg Roman. He spent 7 years here helping out the O-line. So, one, he understands how to operate O-lines. Okay. You got to have a head coach who knows how to utilize the O-line correctly. Seattle has never really had a top O-line, but yet they still get the job done. If you understand how to use offensive linemen, you can design plays around their weaknesses and make them look better than they really are. He understands mobile quarterbacks. We can obviously see that with his Colin Kaepernick days. I honestly feel like Colin Kaepernick owes a lot to Greg Roman, and that's why he was able to push them to a Super Bowl. And that's the same thing that's going on with Lamar. We have an even better quarterback in Carolina. We just haven't had a coach that has utilized him correctly. So let's bring him in. We have great offensive weapons. We need to get a solid defensive coordinator. That's probably going to be the hardest thing to find, a solid defensive coordinator. Those are harder to find in today's day and age than a head coach, in my opinion, because we haven't had a great defensive head coach defensive coordinator since Sean McDermott. So Steve Wilkes, not that great. So that's going to be tough to fill. Eric Washington.
No, but he's right. He wasn't that great either.
Greg Roman is my choice. I also think we should take Jalen Hurts if he slips to the second. And good days are to come in Panther Nation. So let's just keep pounding.
Keep pounding.
I do want to point out how I just said that he wasn't that bad, and the first thing that came to your mind was that was a bad negative comment. Just saying that somebody says something's not that bad.
Exactly. Good point. Great point. Yeah. He wasn't that bad. You're exactly right. Marty Herney, turns out you're fired, bitch. What a wonderful way. That is like a joke that needs to be told on a stage right there, Greg. All right, so thinking about this is that what I love about going through the cat calls, we're over 2.5 hours into the show, and they're just pushing the conversation along. We were just asking about the names, and we continued. Look, Greg, we got the Greg and the Greg Roman connection here. But, Cody, we're talking about this future head coaching position, and there is some concern about maybe a retread. Where, like, we heard Greg Roman there. Where do you continue? You still a little concerned about that?
I mean, listen, so as I said, I'm not disappointed if we hire Greg Roman. I mean, because if anything, if we hire Greg Roman, to me, that's an indication of the organization saying Cam Newton is our future. because that seems like the kind of hire that you would make to try and get the most out of Cam Newton. I mean, everyone knows how much I love Cam Newton, and it's obvious. But I do think that it's always been a legitimate question when we talk about his health, and we just don't know how his body is holding up, and if it's going to continue to be able to hold up. And do you continue to ask a 30, 31-year-old Cam Newton to do what Lamar Jackson is doing now?
So you go to the other side of the ball, though, Cody, and the comment from what we were talking about, I said, hold on to it, is the Saleh.
Yeah, Robert Saleh.
Saleh.
Yeah, the defensive.
Saleh to you, Saleh to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hesitant about Robert Saleh because
I think it is. I think it's too much of fool's gold.
That 49ers defensive line is loaded with not even just
the whole defense, whole damn defense.
Not even first round talent, but top 5 talent.
Yeah.
At every single position.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I mean, dude, you're talking about
how can you not be good when your front four can just beat ass all day long?
Yeah, no, I would love to have him as a defensive coordinator, but I have not seen enough from the man to hand him the reins to the Carolina Panthers.
Which also
his energy on the sideline. I mean, I would.
Oh yeah, yeah. He does look. He looks like he could go out there and tackle somebody himself, right? Yeah. But to me, I think the other name that a lot of people were talking about last week on the show is just the offensive version of him, and that's the Bieniemy. What's his name? Tell me how to pronounce it.
Eric Bieniemy.
Oh, so I got it right. I got it right.
Yeah, you got it right. Yeah, Eric Bieniemy is someone that I've had my eyes on for a while now.
But could he be a victim of his own circumstance under Andy Reid? Obviously, we still think it's Andy Reid's offense, and on top of that, Mahomes is playing like a crazy man. Like, how can you not get it right?
You know, but you're gonna have these types of questions about everyone that you hire. True. You know,
can they run a whole team though? There's such a difference in being a coordinator. There's such a difference in just saying your job is to design a play how to defeat that team's defense to you're going to run an organization.
So would you prefer to hire someone that's been a head coach before in the NFL?
Kind of.
Or
I'm going to tell you a name that everybody would hate.
Yes.
Todd Bowles.
I would cut my own penis off.
Why?
Why? What is it?
Why not your finger?
He was good with the Jets, and that's like a compliment in itself.
No, dude. No. I feel the same way about Bowles as I do about McCarthy.
No way. Not even close.
I'm not down for Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles? Come on, dude. Why? That comes out of left field for me.
Huh? I mean, my only thing is like, okay, if you don't want to give somebody who hasn't had a head coaching job a chance, then you're in the same mindset of Ron Rivera by not giving players that haven't had a chance to play a chance. You never know until you put them out there and see.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't just always stick with the veterans because then you end up in the position that Carolina's in right now, where we have possible talent that we never see.
But a lot of the names y'all are talking about have had some sort of former head coach experience.
I agree.
Harbaugh. The other idea is, don't forget, Josh Daniels was a head coach
at Denver, right?
Yeah. And then he went back. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't think just because you were
Pete Carroll, so was Bill Belichick.
See? So, why is that? Todd Bowles was not a bad coach, so don't laugh at me on that, like, entirely.
I'm gonna laugh at you at least a little.
All right, well then, I mean, how is that any more ridiculous than Jim Harbaugh?
Oh, dude, you're gonna tell me that Todd Bowles has anywhere near the pedigree that Harbaugh does? It's not even close. It's not even a little bit close.
You don't think so?
No, between Harbaugh and
I don't
Todd
think
Bowles?
so either. Yeah.
No.
Okay. Okay.
Where was Todd Bowles before the Jets?
With Arizona. He was exactly. No, he was the defensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals under Bruce Arians, where he is exactly right now in Tampa Bay. He is back to where he was.
Look at Tampa Bay's defense.
It's pretty fucking amazing for what they got.
Run defense is good. I'll give you that.
No, we're moving away from the defense, man.
All right. Next call. There's 3 more calls to go through.
Hey, wondering what y'all's thoughts are about the choice for the interim coach, Perry Fuel. Sorry can't pronounce his name, but
Sam here.
I know Tepper said something about he can command a room. I'm just not too familiar with him, but I'm wondering what your thoughts are. What maybe if Norv should have been the choice, and also just why the secondary coach if the secondary really hasn't been performing all that well.
They've actually been better than half the other part of the team.
Thanks, guys.
Perry Farrell or Perry Fuel.
All right, so here's his history. In college, he was, according to Wikipedia, Fuel was a college coach for 13 years, working as an assistant coach in North Carolina Army, Kent State, and Vanderbilt. Fuel entered the NFL as the defensive backs coach under Tom Coughlin in 1998, stayed there through 2002. Jacksonville's pass defense ranked 3rd in the NFL in 1999, and 2 years later, the Jags only gave up 13 touchdowns. In 2003, he went to St. Louis, secondary coach in Rams. Fuel was a defensive backs coach in Chicago from 2004 through 2005 under Lovie Smith. He was hired as a defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills in 2006. In what was statistically their best season under Fuel, the 2008 Buffalo Bills defense ranked 2nd in the AFC in negative yard. Okay. On January 14, 2010, Fuel was hired as defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Served under head coach Tom Coughlin. So he was been a defensive coordinator. He's been a defensive coordinator twice.
Well, that throws my statement out the window. I said that he's never been more than a secondaries coach, but
yeah,
but
twice.
My question is, why is he not? That then bodes the question: why has he been demoted to a secondaries coach?
Yeah.
Can I give a theory that I have?
Yes, please.
About and this kind of brings a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about together. Is what if, just by chance, we already have the head coach on our staff?
Oh,
that Tepper's looking for. He says he's working on a process, right? Now, what if Norv Turner turned down the coaching job because he's going to be there?
Shit. You're smoking
I'm just
weed.
saying, hear me out. He's going to be there to help pamper his son into the position of head coach next year. And the reason why you put Fuel as head coach instead of Eric Washington is because you're going to replace Eric Washington, but you're going to keep Fuel. So he's there for the next 4 weeks as interim head coach, and then you can knock him back down to, you can even bump him to defensive coordinator if you wanted to. But what if the answer is on the roster that he thinks, and Turner's going to be our
Scott Turner, head coach of the Carolina Panthers, defensive coordinator Perry Fuel? You cracked the code. Actually, it sounds ridiculous, and it actually could happen.
People have called me ridiculous on a lot of things I've said, and a few weeks later we're talking about them happening. I'm just saying.
It sounds ridiculous.
I can't see a situation where they believe Scott Turner is going to go from quarterback's coach to head coach.
But if you're looking for somebody that has faith in Cam Newton, he's been the quarterback's coach with Cam Newton. That's a guy that would probably go forward and say, "Yeah, we can go with this."
Don't you think he may have named him interim? What if he did this? If he would have named Scott Turner interim head coach, that's what he should have done. That would have been some fucking big dick shit right there.
If you're going forward, you have to be so sure that Perry Fuel is the
It's
answer.
too far out.
Not
Perry. No, he's saying that Scott Turner would be the coach.
Right.
I mean, it's like what the Browns did, but far less reason to hire that coordinator. Like It's
But you're not
like
going to hire him. You're going to hire Scott. He's saying Scott's going to be the head coach.
Head coach. And Perry Field's going to be the defensive coordinator.
Next year.
Yeah, maybe.
It's crazy. It's crazy talk.
I do
it's
not.
crazy
I
talk.
don't.
I like it though. I kind of like the. It's like fan fiction, but next call.
All right, guys, check this out. I just kind of wrote
If he
this
says the
song
exact same thing.
as I was listening to the podcast. Here it goes.
Scott Turner, head coach.
Or a burning thing,
Sings with Johnny Cash.
and it makes Super Bowl rings. Fueled by a wild desire. That being Ron getting fired. Well, David gave us just what we desired. We turn on the news and Ron has been fired. And it burns, burns, burns. That ring of fire.
This is
that
so
ring
good.
Of fire.
This is so good. That was so fucking good.
That was
beautiful. Oh my gosh. It might have been the best call if I wouldn't have already said another call was the best call.
Thank you for that serenade.
Oh my gosh. Burns, burns, burns. Last call of the
I'm just
night.
saying, with the fuel and the Burns thing.
A lot of fun.
Perry Fuel is going to be the head coach, and Brian Burns is going to be player defensive coordinator. Nice call.
The timing
Last
of
call.
firing Ron Rivera. Remember, Tepper's a hedge fund guy. He views stuff through numbers, through stocks, and I kind of think he saw Ron Rivera as a falling stock. And before things bottomed out, I think he intentionally
Before they bottomed
blew
out.
up the continuity of the coaching staff. I wouldn't be shocked if Will Greer gets a shot.
I hope he
getting
does.
some playing time. The continuity of the coaching staff is in a little disarray. This is tank mode. This is rebuild mode. I do think that we keep Cam Newton. Cam Newton and Tepper have a great relationship. They even chumming it up at the Thanksgiving dinner. A cheap prove-it deal for Cam. He's got another year left on his contract. It doesn't cost anything to keep him. And get a really attractive coach coming in. He's going to pay him really well. But all in all, thanks Ron Rivera, Riverboat Ron, for the years that he gave. I think he's the best coach that the Panthers have had in Panther history. But there was a lot of things that Ron left to be desired. I don't think he ever played to win the game, and I do think that Cam was a big reason behind some of his success, and that we saw that with Cam sitting out this year, losing 3 or 4 games inside the 5-yard line of the last play. I think that kind of put the nail in the coffin. But, all in all, still Panthers die hard. Panther Nation, keep pounding, baby. Peace.
Keep pounding.
We did it. We're at the end of the cat calls. Thank you for your support. Really, I'm not going to say thank Jesus. We're at the end of the calls, but thank Jesus. No, it's 252-228-5098. You guys are the best. Keep calling in. We're going to we're hitting a part in this. We're getting so much support of the show. You guys saw it earlier tonight, and you continue to see it, is that we're over 3 hours in. It feels like it's like a decade in, and you guys are part of this conversation, and that shows they're really doing some good work here. So we're going to keep playing the calls right now. At some point, one day, we're going to have to adjust and start thinking about how we're going to do this so we don't stay up 24 hours a night.
25 hours, yeah.
Yeah, but right now, this is the way I like to think of this show, guys. It's somebody, and it was actually one of the first callers into the show several years ago. And he said, man, when I listen to the podcast, I feel like I'm riding in the car with the fellas to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about what's to come, what the team's like. And those are some of the best times. And you know what? The calls have been fantastic in furthering that type of conversation. And that's what I want to appreciate right now is that while things are changing, guys, you know what's not changing is that we're hanging out here and we're talking about the Carolina Panthers. Cody, Lashney,
Yes,
the
sir.
man on the hill. How does it feel to be victorious? And tell them how they can follow you.
It feels pretty damn good. But now there's not much juice for the hill because it happened. So
Now you're the general. Now you're not. Now you're not defending. You have to lead.
Yeah, I'm.
Feel that
Hey,
castle on the hill now.
hey, Sun Tzu says he who has the high ground is victorious. So let's go, baby. I'm ready for war. You can get me at CODYLAC on Twitter. There are new mock drafts coming out bi-weekly on drafttech.com. And our season is pretty much over, so I know you're going to be interested.
Dude, how about Tepper saying that too? It's kind of hurt hearing him saying
Tepper did pretty much.
He wanted to say it faster, didn't he? He wanted to come out and say the season's over. He's like, well, it's not over, but it is.
He stopped himself right before.
He did.
It's just like, oh shit! I need people to come to this last.
Yeah, buy a hot dog. Buy a hot dog. Buy a hot dog.
Yeah. But yeah, man, draft season is sadly already upon us, and I'm going to be putting out new mock drafts every 2 weeks with comments for the Carolina Panthers and the Houston Texans.
CK's got 100, and have you got 110 yet? I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, look that up while you're doing. Hey, Cody, don't forget you have a vice president of this hill, right? You know,
That's right, man. CK doesn't get enough.
True.
He's been on my side this entire time. This has been my tag team partner. Hey, man, that's a double Cody trouble, man.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
right.
Team.
You got 111, bro. You got 1111. You got 111. We got over. Yeah, come on. Let's get him to 115 by tomorrow.
Tonight, yeah.
By tonight. And actually 2 days, because if you got to listen to this podcast for 4 hours, you might not hear it till Friday. But he's got 100. How can they follow you on Twitter, Cody? CK.
Hey, man, you're going to be able to get me at Codizzle Allen. That is CODIZZLEALLEN. Codizzle Allen.
A lot of doubles. All right, let's go on to Greg. How can they follow you, my friend?
Man, you can follow me at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter. I'm willing to talk to anybody about just about anything. And you can also check out my other podcast, Super
Do it.
Servant Podcast. We talk about movies, television shows, literature, comic books, all kinds of different stuff. I actually have a fan that I've met on this show that's going to be on my show this Friday, so I'm open to having people on. Just hit me up. Cody's going to do some Watchmen talk with me. CK is going to do some Lord of the Rings talk with me. I know I'm going to get Tony back on, but we record Fridays and we drop Mondays, man. Check us out.
The Civil Servants Podcast. Check it out. It's a fun nerd listen. It's a giant nerd listen, and you know what? You'll love it. I settle right into my couch when I listen to it. All right, my name's Tony Dunn.
Are we icing anyone up?
I was going to ask
Oh
that,
shit! Yeah, it is Tuesday. Hell yeah! We have to do it. Yes, we do. I'm sitting here thinking it's like a post game. That's how I felt.
It is.
Tony Dunn's bed has been calling him for an hour.
Oh,
That's
gosh. And I got to stay up for an hour and a half to get this podcast on the gun for second internet. All right. Ice him up, Cody.
I am icing up Paul Feinbaum, who at every single turn wants to talk shit about Clemson. Like we are not a 29-0 football team. Always wanting to throw Dabo Swinney's name in the mud. And this is the same guy that talks about Cam Newton's character as being worthless and not a leader and selfish. Paul Feinbaum is the definition of that Southern kind of SEC redneck stuck in the mud bullshit that is annoying in the world. Paul Feinbaum, ice up, loser.
My ice up pick goes to whatever asshole either banged into my wife's car. So we came outside today, and it obviously didn't happen today. It must have happened yesterday or something. But somebody backed into the front end of her car, and It didn't cause superior major damage, but scratches on the bumper. I'm paying a monthly payment on that bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my thing is this. Is like, to me, I look at it like a brand new car every time I pay a payment. On top of that, is it busted some part out. It's not the worst. So, God, thank you, Jesus, for not making it terrible. It's one of those things I'm not going to claim it on the insurance because it's cheaper for me to just fix myself. But to whatever assholes to be backing into people's cars, man, so stop it. Where are you going, Mug? All right, that's my ice up.
Okay, you want to go?
Yeah, man, I'll go. There's plenty of people out there throwing names around, and somebody within the organization apparently is throwing around the Mike McCarthy, possibility of a head coach. And my problem with that is, we're going from a defensive-minded head coach that is very conservative and shows no emotion to an offensive-minded coach who shows no emotion and is very conservative.
Yeah.
I just think that is the most ridiculous. Anybody who thinks that Mike McCarthy should be a Carolina Panther head coach, ice up, son. Ice up.
Yes.
It's tired.
That's a great one.
It's tired.
That's a great one.
Mine's real simple, man. I'm icing myself up for fantasy football reasons. I've run a fantasy football league of my own for about 9 years now, and Cody and Tony, they're in it. It's only a 10-team league, so it's real small, but it's got a big prize at the end of every year, championship ring, all that stuff. This is the first year I've not made the playoffs since I've been running the league. But not only did I not make the playoffs this year, I finished in 10th place. But it's not my fault. It's not my fault. I have the second highest scoring team. Okay, because I have a great team. I have the second highest scoring team, but I by and far have the most points scored against me. It's just total bad luck. Got beat by a 2-9 team last week, and they scored 2,400 points.
You're Ron Rivera of fantasy football.
I guess this year I might be. I'm fired.
What happened to Ron Rivera? He got beat on the 1 yard line 4 times. Guess what?
Yep. But for me, just ice up, man. Better not luck next year, I guess.
All right. Thank Jesus this show is over.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. We knew it was going to be long, but I was pushing through these calls, guys. I thought at one point, I thought, man, we had gotten through 2/3 of the calls. I skipped a couple. And I was like, it's like 10-15.
It's like when you get up by 14, you kind of relax. And the next thing you know,
oh, my God. And then all of a sudden, it's fucking midnight. All right, guys. The C3 Panthers podcast, CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Been drinking them perniciouses all night. Perniciouses are delicious. Wicked weed, man. I tell you that. Nah, but y'all fools. We'll be here after the game on Sunday because we fools. And we'll be here on Tuesday and Tuesday and Tuesday because we love the Carolina Panthers. And y'all make the show great. Thank you for being a part of it. Subscribe, like, review, whatever. All of that. See you next Tuesday and after the game. Whatever day we see you. Later.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You can turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.